Yeah, I stabbed him. I was like, oh, that's just a pleasure. Cock like a vulgar harlot! Oh my god, she's gonna push her cock like a vulgar harlot.
Well, fuck me, everything's dead, I hate everything, fuck me, I'm gonna die. Nope, bye.
True.
Bill Romeo!
Damn, he's fucking
God!
gone.
Hit something!
Boy,
Oh my god, kill him!
Look at this dumbass.
Bro, you got them goddamn green bean balls.
What does that mean, John?
This lever here.
Shit, I've been on the fucking social stream ever since you showed me your dick.
We're on a wavelength tonight.
That's right, son. We're out here kissing our dads in the mouth for five.
Oh, okay, you lost me. Oh, it's going me too.
This is a lot of fun. I gotta tell you.
Yeah, you having fun? I couldn't hit it. Dude, she
moving,
she got the bob and weave.
Oh my.
It looks like there's a fish coming out of it.
Yeah, that's for the weird yordles like Fizz. People that aren't quite
Two
yordles.
cupcakes and a fish. It's like, yeah.
This isn't a yordle.
I said the weird yordles.
I'm not saying I saw our Ezreal run from like here all the way back here while the tanks are dying.
Damn.
brother.
Alright. We're live.
We're ready to go. All right, let's do this thing. Tell me if the audio's too loud.
Okay, dope. Oh, now it's just a black screen. Oh, it's probably because you're clicked on it.
Oh, my bad. All right, let me move the mouse, see if it pops up. We good?
Oh, just a black screen.
Okay, let's exit full screen. You see it now?
I can see the overlay, but I can't actually see what's going on.
Let me try some.
Nope.
It shows black on this too. I see the mouse, it just won't let me.
Yeah,
into
I
the
can see all the
picture.
controls on there, but I can't actually
You
see
can't see the
emote.
picture.
Yeah.
Don't really know how to get around that. I thought full screen would do it. Can you see that?
Mm-hmm.
Can. You just can't see the actual, okay. You just can't see it when I pull it up.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's how they keep you from. But I feel like I should still be able to share my screen.
I don't think so.
Click on.
Seasons and the way he handled the pandemic.
Thank you. Another
Still
persistent
black.
challenge is the climate crisis. 2023 will
All right, so no visual.
True.
Hmm. Why won't you do that? Relax. Can't open it in a new window. You just pulled it. Oh. Let's see here. Oh, that's live on Telemundo. Out of curiosity,
Mm-hmm.
let me hit this and see if it plays off this channel. I know it's gonna be in Spanish, but nope.
No.
Is that that's not showing up?
No.
Don't know. I don't know then. It's like I wonder if this was like. All right, let's just test something. Let's turn on River Monsters.
River monsters.
Can you see River Monsters?
One so elusive, it was
No.
I cannot see river.
10 years ago.
Okay, so it is. It's definitely just a Hulu thing.
Can we both log in as you and like time it at the same time? The. Well, that'd be difficult to. Because if we ever wanted to pause it, we both have to pause it.
Yeah, that would be tough.
Absolutely immaculate clean water, and I want
Immaculate
absolutely
clean
air.
water.
Love the water that we're serving. Serving, whatever.
Dreaming. Well, I mean, is there any other platform we can get it off of?
Don't know.
Okay, let's stop this. One more.
I need to soften my guy's move.
I don't have anything, Gwen. Stop whining.
Maxims. That's what it is. There we go. Excellent. Both talking. We both have a podium. Hell yeah. Just get a little bit of music going anyway. Just to have a good time anyway. Hey!
Okay. We'll see if this works. This has got 1 million people watching right now, so I'm assuming it's fine. Yes, they allowed news networks to show it, but all right, we ready to get this thing popping?
I'm ready. I'm prepared.
And I will co-moderate this evening. Our job is to
Loud enough or not?
Oh, a big turn up energy.
the two candidates tonight. Before we introduce them, we want
Oh,
to
yeah.
share the rules
Keep
of
going.
the debate with the audience at
A little
home.
more?
Former President Trump will be on the left side of the screen.
You said a little more?
President Biden will be appearing
Yeah.
on the right. A coin toss
Okay.
determined their position.
I'll have to turn you up then,
Candidate will have 2 minutes to answer a question
because it's really loud.
and 1 minute each
Oh, no.
for responses and
All right.
rebuttals. An additional minute for follow-up, clarification,
All right.
or response is at the moderator's discretion.
When it's time for a candidate to speak, his microphone will be turned on and his opponent's microphone will be turned off.
Shame.
Should a candidate interrupt when his microphone is muted, he will be difficult to understand.
We don't want the will you shut up, man?
At the end of the debate, each candidate will get 2 minutes for closing statements. There is no studio audience tonight. Pre-written notes, props, or contact with campaign staff are not permitted during the debate. By accepting our invitation to debate, both candidates and their campaigns agreed to accept these rules.
Now, please welcome the 46th President of the United States, Joe Biden.
Lost as a motherfucker. Oh, hey, TV.
He even gave the podium a little point.
Is this mine?
And please welcome the 45th President of the United States, Donald Trump.
Oh my god. Is he okay?
Who, Trump?
Yeah.
I don't know. He looks like Trump to me. They both look like, kind of like
It's just-
what I thought.
Just the way he walked out, he seemed like he was upset about something.
The issue that voters consistently say is their top
Dude.
concern, the economy. President Biden
I-
inflation has slowed, but
I can only imagine what the 100 million things he can be pissed about.
Like what?
Oh, I don't know. Bro's been in court for fucking weeks. I'd be a little pissed too.
Stop doing bad shit.
prices remain high. Since you took office, the price of essentials has increased. For example, a basket
Oh, yeah.
of
I talked
groceries
about
that
this
cost
last night.
$100 then now costs more than $120. And typical home prices have jumped more than 30%. What do you say to voters who feel they are worse off under your presidency than they were under President Trump?
We got to take a look at what I was left when I became president, what Mr. Trump left me. We had an economy that was in free fall. The pandemic was so badly handled. Many people were dying. All he said was, it's not that serious. Just inject a little bleach in your arm. You'll be all right. The economy collapsed. There were no jobs. Unemployment rate rose to 15%. It was terrible.
Oh, he's
and so what
geeked.
we had to do was try to put things back together again. And that's exactly what we began to do. We created 15,000 new jobs. We brought out the position where we have 800,000 new manufacturing jobs. But there's more to be done. There's more to be done. Working class people are still in trouble. I come from Scranton, Pennsylvania. I come of a household where the kitchen table, if the
He loves
things weren't
Scranton.
able to be met during the month,
He
it was
does.
a problem. Price of eggs, the price of gas, the price of housing, the price of a whole range of things. That's why I'm working so hard to make sure
Is he
we deal
wheezing?
with those problems. That we're going to make sure that we reduce the price of housing. We're going to make sure we build 2 million new units. We're going to make sure we cap
I don't really
rents
hear any
so
wheezing.
corporate greed can't take
could
over.
be,
The
though.
combination
Maybe
of
he's just
the
breathing
resulting
loud, like little.
corporate greed is the reason why we're
Yeah.
in the
At the end of
problem right now.
yeah.
In addition to that,
Stuff like
we're in a
that makes it like
situation
hard for
where
me to breathe.
If you take a
Maybe
look
it's
at
just
what
an
Obama
S tier
did in
mic,
his
bro.
administration,
We could never know.
he didn't do much at all. By the time he left, things were in chaos, literally chaos. And so we put things back
Literally.
together. We created, I said, those jobs. We made
Chaos.
sure
Look
we
at the
had a
definition.
situation where we brought down the price of prescription drugs, which is a major issue for many people, to $15 for a insulin shot as opposed to $400. No senior has to pay more than $200 for any drug, all the drugs they can include beginning next year. And the situation is and we're going to make that available to everybody, to all Americans. So we're working to bring down the price around the kitchen table, and that's what we're going to get done.
Thank you, President Trump.
He ran out every second of that 2 minutes.
Economy in the history of our country.
Just fucking say it.
So well.
It was the best.
Everybody was amazed by it. Other countries were copying us. We got hit with COVID. And when we did, we spent the money necessary so we wouldn't end up in a Great Depression, the likes of which we had in 1929. By the time we finished, so we did a great job. We got a lot of credit for the economy, a lot of credit for the military, and no wars, and so many
military.
other things. Everything was rocking good. But the thing we never got the credit for, and we should have, is getting us out of that COVID mess. He created mandates that was a disaster for our country. But other than that,
What mandates?
we had given them back a country where the stock market actually was higher than pre-COVID, and nobody thought that
Guess
was even
he's
possible.
giving him the mass
The
mandate
only
credit,
jobs
or
he created are for illegal immigrants and bounce back jobs, the bounce back from the COVID. He has not done a good job. He's done a poor job, and inflation's killing our country. It is absolutely killing us.
Bounce
Thank you,
back
President Biden.
jobs
Absolutely.
from
Well, the
COVID?
greatest economy in the world.
As opposed to what?
That, I think. I don't know anybody else who thinks he's the greatest economy in the world. And, you know, the fact of the matter is that we found ourselves in a situation where his economy, he rewarded the wealthy. He had the largest tax cut in American history, $2 trillion.
Trump's
He's
like,
like,
yeah.
yep.
It's a deficit larger
Yep.
than any president had
Fuck
in
the
any
poor
one
people.
term. He's the only president other than Herbert Hoover who's lost more jobs than he had when he began, since Herbert Hoover. The idea that he did something that was significant. And the military, you know, when he was president, they were still killing people in Afghanistan. He didn't do anything about that. When he was president, we were still finding ourselves in a position where you had a notion that we were this safe country. The truth is, I'm the only president this century that doesn't have this decade, that doesn't have any troops dying anywhere in the world like he did.
President Trump, I want to follow up if I can. You
Am I
want
allowed to respond to him?
Well, I'm going to ask you a follow-up. You can do whatever you want with the minute. that we give
I don't
you.
know if that's the response I
wanna
would have given
follow up. You want to
about the
oppose a
wars
10
in general. like, I mean, as far as Ukraine goes, it's like I handled it well. You know, I mean, because
Yeah.
either that or he could just be like, well, you handed Crimea to Russia, like you accepted their ownership over it, and then at the same time you could be like, and you told Russia to ignore NATO and to keep moving to the west. So it's like what do you mean? Like there wouldn't be any wars because you wouldn't push back at all. You know what I mean?
I'm shocked he brought up Afghanistan.
Yeah, it's like you had an easy answer there, and it was like a weird angle to take it from.
Because that's generally considered one of his weaker moments.
Maybe for like maybe right wing people feel that way.
Well, I think like the post Get Out was like, you know, maybe that's more of an Afghanistan thing, like just the big cave.
Big cave?
Yeah, like where the people they put in place just kind of gave up right then and there.
Oh, caving to yeah. No, yeah, there was no meaningful like structure to what's the name of their army? The ANA? Yeah, I think it was the ANA. Like we trained them and we gave them stuff, but like they didn't know how to operate it. Like they just relied on us for everything. Not saying what happened was like good, but like that is just the truth. Like they weren't prepared for us to leave at all, and they weren't gonna be.
Yeah, like I said, the only other thing, like I said, most of that, like I said, just straight up, just stating what happened.
Mm-hmm.
The amount of times that they have to go the back and forth of, you know, well, I got a bunch of jobs, and it's like, well, it's post COVID. Like, well, you lost a bunch of jobs. Well, that was COVID, bro. We know.
Well, yeah, it is interesting because Biden's like we've gotten this many jobs, we're at this inflation rate, you know, this is what's going on, and then but Trump is like, it was the best economy. Everyone knew it was the best economy. Ask anyone, they say it was the best. It's like this. I don't feel like this is the same conversation being had between these two people.
Yeah, and technically, like I said, it's the same. It's the same talking points it was literally 4 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
% tariff on all goods coming into the U.S. How will you ensure that that doesn't drive prices even higher?
It's not going to drive them higher. It's just going to cause countries that have been ripping us off for years, like China and many others, in all fairness to China. It's going to just force them to pay us a lot of money, reduce our deficit tremendously, and give us a lot of power for other things. But he made a statement. The only thing he was right about is I gave you the largest tax cut in history. I also gave you the largest regulation cut in history. That's why we had all the jobs. And the jobs went down, and then they bounced back, and he's taking credit for bounce back jobs. You can't do that. He also said
he can't do that.
Yes, you stepped in.
No, he inherited almost no inflation, and it stayed that way for 14 months, and then it blew up under his leadership because they spent money like a bunch of people that didn't know what they were doing, and they don't know
No
what they were doing.
inflation
It's
is
the
a
worst,
wild
worst
statement to
administration
get
in
to
history.
make.
There's never been. And as far as Afghanistan is concerned, I was getting out of Afghanistan, but we were getting out with dignity, with strength, with power. He got out. It was the most embarrassing day in the history of our country's life.
President Trump, over the last 8 years,
The whole life.
The whole life. Slavery, not as bad as that 3-day period in Afghanistan.
Analysis, President Trump, your administration approved $8.4 trillion in new debt, while so far, President Biden, you've approved $4.3 trillion in new debt. So, former President Trump, many of the tax cuts that you signed into law are set to expire next year. You want to extend them and go even further, you say. With the U.S. facing trillion-dollar deficits and record debt, why should top earners and corporations pay even less in taxes than they do now?
Because the tax cuts spurred the greatest economy that we've ever seen just prior to COVID. And even after COVID, it was so strong that we were able to get through COVID much better than just about any other country. But we spurred that tax. Spurred. Now, when we cut the taxes, as an example, the corporate tax was cut down to 21% from 39%, plus beyond that. We took in more revenue with much less tax, and companies were bringing back trillions of dollars back into our country. The country was going like never before, and we were ready to start paying down debt. We were ready to start using the liquid gold right under our feet, the oil and gas right under our feet. We were going to have something that nobody else has had. We got hit with COVID. We did a lot to fix it. I gave him an unbelievable situation with all of the therapeutics and all of the things that we came up with. We gave him something great. Remember, more people died under his administration,
Stank eye, bro.
even though we had largely fixed it. More people died under his administration than our administration, and we were right in the middle of it, something which a lot of people don't like to talk about. But he had far more people dying in his administration. He did the mandate, which is a disaster, mandating it. The vaccine went out. He did a mandate on the vaccine, which is the thing that people most objected
What did
to
he
about the
mandate?
vaccine. And he did a very poor job, just a very poor job. And I will tell you, not only poor there, but throughout the entire world, we're no longer respected as a country. They don't respect our leadership. They don't respect the United States anymore. We're like a third world nation between weaponization of his election, trying to go after his political opponent, all of the things he's done. We've become like a third
He's so
world
salty.
nation. And it's a shame.
He's
The
going
damage
after
he's
some
done to our
political
country.
opponent.
And I'd love to ask him, and will, why he allowed millions of people to come in here from prisons, jails, and mental institutions to come into our country and destroy our country.
Why do you treat immigrants like they're people, sir?
So to clarify, the mandate he's talking about is the one that he signed where all federal employees and companies contracted by the federal government had to have the vaccine instead of doing testing.
Wasn't it vaccine or testing?
No, it was it removed the option to do testing. The mandate that was signed, it was just.
I guess
get
he's
the vaccine.
just arguing for federal agents only, or like federally contracted people.
Yeah, all businesses that work for the government, though. Apparently, I don't know how much that entails, but that's the gist.
I don't know. I mean, if you're going by COVID mandates, right? Obviously, Trump would have been the one with most of the COVID mandates. You know what I mean? It was like, if we're just talking about mandates, right? There's clearly one of us that's put more time on it. Just from a right-wing perspective, I'm down with the mandates.
Oh, with like the requirements.
Yeah, like you know, the vaccine or test.
No, I was fine with the option to vaccine or test. I wasn't fine with the just do the vaccine. I get why people don't want to take shots or whatever, but
No, I mean, especially in the thick of it, like if there was a time to mandate it, it would have been while Trump was in office. You know what I mean? Like when people were dropping like flies. Now it's been 4 fucking years, not just,
yeah,
what was it, 10 months that Trump had it and then 4 years that Biden's had it.
yeah.
It was like that initial time would have been the time to mandate it. If we were going to do it at all, you know?
Yeah. Well, like I said, COVID to me, I don't really pick on either side for COVID because it was such a fucking anomaly. Like, I don't think anybody knew what to do. Like, even now when they're talking about like the COVID people who made the vaccines are like, yeah, they're better now. They got better, but we couldn't, actually provide authenticity to them when we first started them. It was a save everyone best we can proposal.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I'm not going to dig into them. I was like, yeah, I get it. I know why we did what we did. And I know now people are, pissed about what they're saying. I was like, but listen, dude, if I told you that like COVID was even slightly more deadlier than it was, and it was deadly, it's like particularly, to like people who had health conditions.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, everyone would have been jumping on board with that, especially if it's affecting people who are, the ones who are engaging with it on social media, typically the younger generation.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, I really don't dig into red or blue on COVID. I think they both got screwed because it was an anomaly, and we just had to move past that.
Well, honestly, I mean, because they had like a pandemic task force, like pandemic reaction, whatever, pandemic response plan in place, but it was either Trump or Pence or both that ended up like dismantling it. Like they felt it wasn't necessary. Which is another thing that like just doesn't get brought up in conversations like this. It's just weird to me because it's like, even if you did want to go one side or the other, like we had a plan. It was started under Obama, which I mean honestly is probably why they got rid of it, because Trump kind of fucking hates him.
True.
So
but
it's
like that's the thing too, right? Is I think there was a move early on from, like I said, Republicans too, to stop, travel from nations that were experiencing this, and they got shut down.
Mm-hmm.
So
well, it's also one of the best parts about COVID for Trump. He can't even brag about it.
Yeah.
Like the vaccine rollout. Obviously, like Biden is the one that like implemented most of that, but like the development of it and then like getting it made, I'm pretty sure, if I'm remembering correctly, was during Trump, and then rolling it out was Biden.
Yeah, it
And
was
he
at the
can't-
very end of Trump's.
Yeah, he can't even hype it up because it's basically getting mad at him for saying that the vaccine works.
Well, see, what's funny is he still talks about how he was like, I think you should get the shot.
Yeah, he gets booed like a motherfucker when he does
Yeah,
it too.
and
He just,
they hate that shit, dude.
yeah, they just deactivated that whole talking point for him.
That's the thing is like, as far as like some of the opinions that like conservatives hate, he takes a pretty moderate stance on vaccines. Even his abortion stance, like I said, is considered moderate.
I don't know. He goes back and forth. I feel like he's definitely been testing the waters on that one.
Well, like I said, I think yes, he's feeling it. My thing is, I think him personally, now I don't know if it's like in old age. I think he thinks a little more aggressively now. But he's thrown the 15-week thing out there a bunch in casual conversation, and I think that's pretty much where he stands.
I think as far as abortion is concerned, he's just waiting to see where the wind goes.
Yeah.
Because they lose smaller elections hardcore based on abortion.
Yep.
But he also wants to like sway as much people as possible with this. And there's a lot maybe too strong. There's a decent amount of money behind swaying people on abortion too. There's a lot of groups out there that'll donate heavy to you for it.
Sure.
I think
Yeah,
his number
sounds
one
bad.
challenge right now is getting money.
President Trump, we will get to immigration later in this block. President Biden, I want you
President Trump, it was weird you brought that up
respond
right
to this
there.
question about national debt.
He had the largest national debt of any president in a 4-year period, number one. Number two, he got $2 trillion tax cut, benefited the very wealthy. What I'm going to do is fix the tax system. For example, we have 1,000 trillionaires in America. I mean, billionaires in America. And what's happening? They're in a situation where they, in fact, pay 8.2%.
Oh, did you see that? Did you see that? That's a gaff. It's a gaff. Hold him.
What was it?
No, he said trillionaires instead of
Oh yeah.
billionaires.
You can
I
turn
was
it
like,
up a
you
little
see
bit
that?
though. Yep.
Hey,
Yep.
20
Trillionaires, huh?
Okay, let me turn up more.
4%, 25%, either one of those numbers. They've raised $500 billion, I should say, in a 10-year period. We'd be able to wipe out his debt. We'd be able to help make sure that all those things we need to do, child care, elder care, making sure that we continue to strengthen our healthcare system, making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the with the COVID. Excuse me, with dealing with everything we have to do with.
Oh no.
Look, if we finally beat Medicare.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump?
Well, he's right. He did.
Ouch!
He beat it to death, and he's destroying.
God, the big boy lost there.
Yeah, that was tough.
He's like, no, my
Ooh,
Adderall.
that was tough. Ooh, that was rough. Hang on.
I guess
With the COVID, excuse me, with dealing with everything we have to do with. Look, if we finally beat Medicare.
Thank you, President.
about
Biden.
4 full
President
seconds of silence.
Well, he's right. He did beat Medicare. He beat it to death, and he's destroying Medicare because all of these people are coming in. They're putting them on Medicare. They're putting them on Social Security. They're going to destroy Social Security. This man is going to single-handedly destroy Social Security. These millions and millions of people coming in, they're trying to put them on Social Security. He will wipe out Social Security. He will wipe out Medicare. So he was right in the way he finished that sentence. And it's a shame. What's happened to our country in the last 4 years is not to be believed. Foreign countries, I'm friends with a lot of people. They cannot believe what happened to the United States of America. We're no longer respected. They
I know a
don't
few
like
guys.
us.
Dude,
We
just
give
say
them
something
everything
of
they want, and
substance,
they think we're
please.
stupid. They think we're very stupid people. What we're doing for other countries, and they do nothing for us. What this man has done is absolutely criminal.
Thank you,
Oh,
President
you
Trump.
know about that.
Dana?
But
This
like,
is the
while
first
he's talking about
presidential election.
unregistered immigrants receiving Social Security, like, listen to what you're saying. Dog. Like, what do you mean? They're unregistered, but they're also receiving Social Security.
I don't think I've seen anything about Social Security.
You
only
could
thing I've
maybe
seen
do like government, like healthcare, possibly.
Well,
I've not heard of that widespread though.
Well, see, yeah, that's the thing. Is like the only thing I've seen is like targeted healthcare, like options, and then also I've seen the preloaded cards that they're giving them.
The idea of someone getting a check from the government that's unregistered. Like, say that again, but slower.
Going to Miss Bush here.
Since the Supreme Court overturned
Dana
Roe v.
Bush
Wade.
is her name, I think, right?
This
Dana
morning,
Bash.
the court ruled
Bash, my
on
bad.
yet another abortion case, temporarily allowing emergency abortions to continue in Idaho, despite that state's restrictive ban. Former President Trump, you take credit for the decision.
I think they need to clarify if it's ectopic or emergency. Because like, what do you mean by emergency? Like, I want one last, like, whatever. They're dying. Because I don't think any of these
You want one
states
last whatever? What does that mean?
Huh?
You said I want one last whatever?
I don't know what I meant by that.
Oh.
Oh, I mean, like I don't know how they meant by like they have to define what's an emergency. Like, is it a medical procedure to save someone's life, or like what's up? Because I've seen people talk about this as like they found that there's something wrong with the child, and they emergency abort it because of an issue with the child, which I don't think that gives it credence.
Like what?
Just like deformity, things like that. Things that would make the life of the child a little tougher than, a normal birth. So, because I think literally 99% of everyone who's conservative is like, we're not going to ban ectopic pregnancies. We know that will literally just kill the mother. Yeah, like, we're like, listen, we know you have to save the mother's life. We completely understand that. We would love to save both. I was like, but if we understand that if it's impossible, it's impossible.
To overturn Roe v. Wade, which returned the issue of abortion to the states.
Correct.
However, the federal government still plays a role in whether or not women have access to abortion pills. They're used in about 2/3 of all abortions. As president, would you block abortion medication?
First of all, the Supreme Court just approved the abortion pill, and I agree with their decision to have done that, and I will not block it. And if you look at this whole question that you're asking, complex but not really complex. 51 years ago, you had Roe v. Wade, and everybody wanted to get it back to the states. Everybody, without exception. Democrats, Republicans, liberals, conservatives, everybody wanted it back. Religious leaders. And what I did is I put 3 great Supreme Court justices on the court, and they happened to vote in favor of killing Roe v. Wade and moving it back to the states. This is something that everybody wanted. Now, 10 years ago or so, they started talking about how many weeks and how many this, getting into other things. But every legal scholar throughout the world, the most respected, wanted it brought back to the states. I did that. Now the states are working it out. If you look at Ohio, it was a decision that was an end result that was a little bit more liberal than you would have thought. Kansas, I would say the same thing. Texas is different. Florida is different. But they're all making their own decisions right now. And right now, the states control it. That's the vote of the people. Like Ronald Reagan, I believe in the exceptions. I am a person that believes. And frankly, I think it's important to believe in the exceptions. Some people, you have to follow your heart. Some people don't believe in that. But I believe in the exceptions for rape, incest, and the life of the mother. I think it's very important. Some people don't. Follow your heart. But you have to get elected also. And because
follow your heart. I can show you the world.
Get elected. The problem they have is they're radical because they will take the life of a child in the 8th month, the 9th month, and even after birth. After birth, if you look at the former governor of Virginia, he was willing to do this. He said, we'll put the baby aside and we'll determine what we do with the baby, meaning we'll kill the baby. What happened is
wasn't that crazy debunked?
States, and the country is now coming together on this issue. It's been a...
I don't think it was debunked because he did say that.
Yeah, but that's not like what he meant though.
True. I don't think he meant it necessarily in that regard.
Yeah, it's like, he's probably super for abortion, but that video in particular is a straw man, isn't it?
Ridiculous amounts of founded footage of just baby body parts.
I just mean for that, like, because that's the one that gets cited so frequently.
Well, because he got quoted and heard on it, yeah.
Yeah, it's like you can literally You could make
I don't-
any other argument, you know what I mean? Like you could just make an argument that isn't something taken out of context or like not specifically what's going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like just make a good
That's it.
argument.
Great thing.
Thank you. President Biden?
It's been a terrible thing, what you've done. The fact is that the vast majority of constitutional scholars supported Roe when it was decided. Supported Roe. And that's this idea that they're all against it is just ridiculous. And this is a guy who says the state should be able to have it. We're in a state where in 6 weeks, you don't even know whether you're pregnant or not, but you cannot see a doctor, and have him decide on what your circumstances are, whether you need help. The idea that states are able to do this is a little like saying we're going to turn civil rights back to the states. Let each state have a different rule. Look, there's so many young women who have been, including a young woman who just was murdered, and he went to the funeral. And the idea that she was murdered by an immigrant coming in, they talk about that. But here's the deal: there's a lot of young women who are being raped by their in-laws, by their spouses, brothers and sisters.
True.
It's just ridiculous, and they can do nothing about it. And they try to arrest them when they cross state lines.
Thank you.
There have been many young women murdered by the same people he allows to come across our border.
Oh my
We
God.
have a border that's the most dangerous place anywhere in the world. Considered the most dangerous place anywhere in the world. And he opened it
What
up,
are
and
you
these killers are
talking
coming into
about?
our country, and they are raping and killing women. And it's a terrible thing. As far as the abortion is concerned, it is now back
Yeah,
with the
the
states.
subject
states
of the
are voting.
question.
In many cases, it's frankly a very liberal decision. In many cases, it's the opposite. But they're voting, and it's bringing it back to the
States'
vote of the
rights is a
people, which
liberal
is what
decision.
everybody wanted, including the founders, if they knew about this issue, which frankly they didn't. But they would have. Everybody wanted.
don't know
it
much
brought
about-
back. Ronald
as
Reagan
much about
wanted it
abortion
brought
as I
back. He
do.
wasn't able to get it. Everybody wanted it brought back, and many presidents had tried to get it back. I was the one to do it. And again, this gives it the vote of the people, and that's where they wanted it. Every legal scholar wanted it that way.
Staying on the topic of
Honestly, with
abortion,
this
President
section
Biden,
right here,
7
first off, they
states-
just don't fucking want to talk about the actual, like, why are we still talking about immigrants? Trump brought it up first on the last question, and then fucking Biden brought it up on that one. What are we talking about? Like, he
Yeah.
was right that most sexual assault happens within, like, family members or, like, immediate friends. So it is weird to be like, oh, they're just coming over and they're just raping. Like, I'm sure that has happened, but, like, for the wide majority, it's like people
Yeah.
you know very well that sexually assault people.
I thought it was crazy he actually mentioned it.
Oh yeah, the fact that he was like, you know, yeah. If you don't know that that's the statistic, it might sound weird, but I mean
No, no,
it's literally just true.
I meant Biden bringing up the girl that got raped and killed that Trump was at the funeral for.
Yeah,
I'm actually
like
shocked he brought that up because that's like one of the big red talking points right now is all the immigration situation.
yeah. I mean, it's election season, so all of a sudden brown people are scary. Like this happens every time. Midterms, presidential, every time.
I don't know, man.
The most dangerous place on the planet, the American southern border. Like, what are you talking about,
Yeah,
dude?
see, I don't know about the most dangerous place on the planet, but like as far as
Why
like
not the most
grievances
dangerous
they get-
place in the fucking hemisphere?
we'll just cut this bitch in.
Like, you know what I mean?
But like that's what I'm saying. I think they've got legitimate like grievances against like unchecked immigration.
I don't know that it's unchecked though.
I don't think it's unchecked, but it is definitely less checked than it was.
Less checked than it was.
Yeah, I'm saying that the border, like I said, the border control was definitely and based just on the numbers alone, looked significantly stronger under the Trump presidency, even the Obama administration.
Well, the Obama administration deported more people than Trump's did.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like even Obama and Trump both had like relatively solid border control.
Well, like I could argue this, right? But I mean, it doesn't serve a purpose for me to argue it because I disagree with the notion that we should just be just sending everyone back and just like no one allowed.
Well,
but
once again-
he did pass the or he did provide like a plan to Republicans in the House, and he was like, hey, well, you know what? Let's do it. Put your money where their mouth is, and they didn't take it because essentially because Trump told them not to.
But isn't the alternative argument that he revoked all of Trump's border policies?
I think he still has a lot of them implemented.
I think there's still some, but I think he revoked a whole bunch of them, and that's like their counter argument was like you had it in place, but you had to stick it to Trump, so you revoked them.
I think it was just more people went to the border because it was a Democratic president. Because I hear a lot of far left people criticize him because he has so many that he just didn't change. He was actually still buying land. He might still be, but I thought he ended it in like the second or third year. I believe he was still buying land for the wall at one point for like years.
Well, I think so. I full-fledged think that the whole thing is they just won't make the solution. They just big back. I mean, you literally just need more ports of entry with more systems to allow people to come in for asylum. I think what we've got down there is just a load of crap.
Well, like that, the part of it is that they're spending so much money on like ICE and stuff like that to like catch people before they get to the border or like after they're like across the border. And the whole point of the people that are like claiming asylum is that you cross the border and then go to a place to claim asylum. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
you have to cross the border and then go to a place to claim legal asylum. And they're just catching all these motherfuckers and throwing them in cages.
See,
It's
that's what
like
I'm
we
saying.
have a system for asylum seekers, and if we consider it illegitimate, then you can boot them out. But instead, they just capture all these people, then they get all the people already coming into the border, and they just put them in cages until they find some way to like do background checks and shit like that. And it's like you're
Yes.
spending all this money catching people who are like fleeing for asylum, which is like, if I'm not mistaken, that's not legal. And they're just like, we'll get to you when we get to you, instead of just investing on more in like, you know, immigration judges and shit like that.
Sure, that's what I'm saying. Is I think there needs to actually have been like, I mean, I'm not saying go like across the fence. I'm saying there needs to be an actual physical entity that actually divides the border, but also there should be more ports of entry, which makes the things go smoother. Because if you've got so many people wanting in, you definitely need more ports and more places to seek temporary asylum while you get processed.
When you're talking about immigrants, asylum seekers are supposed to cross the border.
Well, I know, but what I'm saying is I think we should have an easier way for them to cross the border without jumping through water, you know, and doing it, quote unquote, you know, illegally.
I mean, dude, I don't even fucking, this is such a blossoming topic because it's like you talk about crossing the water and then they've got shit in Texas where they've got like saw blades inside of buoys and stuff like that people grab onto and putting barbed wire underwater to catch people as they cross. Like, as far as the border itself goes, like there's a lot to be done. I mean, these are like women, these are children, like women with their children, families trying to cross the border. We've got like booby traps on the border. Like, that's fucking crazy. It just doesn't make sense to have a system where they're supposed to cross the border if they're asylum seekers, and then not only just like capturing them and then bringing them back to the border, but also like setting traps like fucking Looney Tunes shit, like immigrant season.
Well, see, that's why I'm saying I would like to see a defined physical entity that had that option. Like, all right, you're seeking asylum, okay, go to any of these 42 points or whatever. To seek asylum, and we have a process there as well as something built on the other side for temporary lodging, you know, for, you know, getting the information we need before we can, you know, let them just come in. I think that is, honestly, it's a job gold mine at that point.
Well, it's like, I believe it's international law that they're trying to abide by. Well, I'm sorry, they're not trying to abide by, but like, that's what the international law is inclined towards for asylum seekers, is to cross the border. Basically so that, like, you know, say Mexico is getting bombed like England was in World War II. It's like, okay, well, don't just fucking hold them in one place inside of a building when they're getting bombed. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just one of those things where it's like, they're supposed to cross.
Sure. And I think, once again, I think you could have an asylum zone, you know, like in between, you know, a part of Mexico and the border. I think you could have a lot of stuff done to make this smoother. Like I said, I just think nobody's doing that.
No, yeah, I mean, we're literally breaking international law, and we have been probably as long as I've been alive.
I'm gonna take 2 minutes. I'm gonna run the restroom real quick.
I'll miss you.
We can keep going.
I fucking love possums, dude.
All right, we back in it.
Okay.
I'll let you do that. This is the
What's
same topic.
what are you doing that's so funny?
Fuck Twitter. Ah! Okay, you can go ahead and start it.
Okay.
7 states have no legal restrictions on how far into a pregnancy a woman can obtain an abortion. Do you support any legal limits on how late a woman should be able to terminate a pregnancy?
I supported Roe v. Wade, which had 3 trimesters. First time is between the woman and the doctor. Second time is between the doctor and an extreme situation. The third time is between the doctor, between the woman and the state. The idea that the politicians, that the founders wanted the politicians to be the ones making decisions about women's health is ridiculous. That's the last. No politician should be making that decision. A doctor should be making those decisions. That's how it should be run. That's what you're going to do. And if I'm elected, I'm going to restore Roe v. Wade.
So that means he can take the life of the baby in the 9th month and even after birth, because some states, Democrat run, take it after birth. Again, the former governor of Virginia, put the baby down, then we decide what to do with it. So he's willing to, as we say, rip the baby out of the womb in the 9th month and kill the baby. Nobody wants that to happen, Democrat or Republican. Nobody wants it to happen.
That is simply not true. The Roe v. Wade does not provide for that. That's not the circumstance. Only a woman's life is in danger. She's going to die. That's the only circumstance in which that can happen. But we are not for late-term abortion, period. Period.
Under Roe v. Wade, you have late-term abortion. You can do whatever you want, depending on the state. You can do whatever you want. We don't think that's a good thing. We think it's a radical thing. We think the Democrats are the radicals, not the Republicans.
For 51 years, that was the law. 51 years, Constitutional Scholarship said it was the right way to go. 51 years, and it was taken away because this guy put very conservative members on the Supreme Court. He takes credit for taking it away. What's he going to do? What's he going to do, in fact, if the MAGA Republicans, he gets elected, and the MAGA Republicans control the Congress, and they pass a universal ban on abortion, period, across the board, at 6 weeks or 7 or 8 or 10 weeks,
Period.
something very, very conservative. Is he going to sign that bill? I'll veto it. He'll sign it.
Thank you.
Let's turn now to the issue of immigration and border security. President
Bam.
Biden, a record number of migrants
I do like,
illegally
real quick,
crossed the southern border.
I do
under
like that
Washington.
he's like, Trump is giving salty about the abortion thing, and I kind of get it, because like that has been the anti-Roe v. Wade conventional wisdom. You know what I mean? Returning it to the states.
Yeah.
But like I said, they keep getting beat up on the smaller elections over abortion specifically. So I can see why he's kind of salty about it, because it's like, I did what you wanted. What the fuck?
Yeah.
The same thing as like the vaccines, where it's like, I rolled out a vaccine and I got everybody vaccinated. What the fuck? And then he gets booed. It's like,
Yeah.
what did you want?
Overwhelming border states and overburdening cities such as New York and Chicago, and in some cases causing real safety and security concerns. Given that, why should voters trust you to solve this crisis?
We're talking about immigration.
Because we worked very hard to get a bipartisan agreement that not only changed all of that, it made sure that we are in a situation where you had no circumstance where they could come across the border with the number of border police there are now. We significantly increased the number of asylum officers. By the way, the Border Patrol endorsed my position. In addition to that, we found ourselves in a situation where...
By the way, I don't know if you know this. During this debate, the Border Patrol tweeted out that they didn't support this and they've never endorsed him.
Oh, I was about to say, I was like, oh.
Yeah, they tweeted out in the middle of this debate. I saw that just a minute ago, the official page, and I was like, ooh.
No, yeah.
Oof.
When he was president, he was separating babies from their mothers, putting them in cages, making sure they were
Fucking Obama built those cages
That's not the
incoming.
right way to go. What I've done since I've changed the law, what's happened? I've changed it in a way that now you're in a situation where there are 40% fewer people coming across the border illegally. It's better than when he left office. And I'm going to continue to move until we get the total ban on the total initiative relative to what we're going to do with more Border Patrol and more asylum officers.
This gets him no one, by the way.
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either. Look, we had the safest
No one's
border in the
gonna bang
history of
with
our
the base.
country. But all he had to do was leave it. All he
I
had to
know
do
what he
was
had to
leave it.
say. We know he's
He
done.
decided to open up our country to people that are from prisons, people that are from mental institutions,
Damn, it's
insane
just
asylums,
racist, right?
terrorists. We have the largest number of terrorists coming into our country right now. All terrorists, all
What are you
over the world, not just in South America, all over the world they come.
It's-
from the Middle
it's
East,
all
everywhere.
terrorists.
All over the world they're pouring in, and this guy just left it open, and he didn't need legislation.
Dude, we are
I
committing
think-
international
so-
crimes.
So
He's like,
I
it's just
think he's-
open. It's terrorists.
I think he's referencing to some of the other, not necessarily Mexico, the other countries that have let some of their people come in that have a history of crime or like terrorist acts. Because and I'm not saying there's thousands, but they do have records of people
But, like,
they've
is there
arrested that have those
any?
histories. Yes.
Wait, they arrested them, so they didn't get
Yeah.
in.
No. Well, they got in and they committed an act here, and we arrested them. We find out afterwards that this was their history of whatever. That they were just the people that slipped past. They never got checked or anything.
Oh, so they snuck in.
Yes.
So like that's what I mean. Like it's like what are we? So they snuck in. Like it's not like he let them in. You know what I mean?
Well, sure, but I think that's the whole gist of it is like the whole sneaking in thing,
I
right?
think the gist of it is kill them. If I'm being honest, but it's so weird that it's just like he's just making shit up. It's like is there like a percentage or something? It's like 3% of all illegal immigrants. You know what I mean? Like I don't think there's any data behind this. Like he's just like they're racist, they're criminals, they're terrorists.
Because I didn't have legislation. I said close the border. We had the
Fuck
safest border in
legislation.
history. In that final couple of months of my presidency, we had, according to Border Patrol, who is great, and by the way, who endorsed me for president,
them.
but I won't say that, but they endorsed me for president.
Who did they
Brandon,
endorse?
just speak to him. But
Did he just call him Brandon?
Did he?
Border Patrol, who is great, and by the way, who endorsed me for president, but I won't say that, but they endorsed me for president. Brandon, just speak to him. But
Brandon?
He should have brought out the sunglasses.
What? That would have been the funniest interaction of all time.
Oh.
the safest border in history. Now we have the
He's
worst
reaching
border
for
in
him.
history. There's never been anything like it.
He's
And
like, where the fuck
people
did I
are dying
put
all
that?
over the place, including the people that are coming up in
Thank you, President
caravans.
Trump. President Biden?
The only terrorist who's done anything crossing the border is one who came along and killed three, under his administration, killed an Al-Qaeda person come in his administration, killed 3 American soldiers. That's the only terrorist that's there. I'm not saying that no terrorist ever got through, but the idea we're emptying our prisons, we're welcoming these people, that's simply not true. There's no data to support what he said.
Good
Once again,
response.
He's exaggerating. He's lying.
Yeah.
President
Fucking-
Trump, staying on the
pretty
topic
much.
of immigration, you've said that you're going to carry out, quote, the largest domestic deportation operation in American history, unquote.
Dude,
Does
this
that
would-
mean that you will
dude.
deport every undocumented immigrant in America, including those who have jobs, including those whose spouses are citizens, and including those who have lived here for decades? And if so, how will you do it?
Just 1 second. He said we killed 3 people. The people we
What?
killed are al-Baghdadi and Soleimani, the 2 greatest terrorists, biggest terrorists anywhere in the world. And
The
it had
greatest
huge impact
terrorists.
on everything, not just border, on everything.
Wait, what is he talking
He's
about?
the one that killed people with a bad.
I think he's just saying these are the people we killed when he was like saying that, his administration or whatever. He's just firing back just random shit.
Yeah, I was about to say Biden said that someone came in and killed our
Hundreds of
soldiers.
Thousands of people dying.
And he's like, we killed
And
terrorists. It's
also
like, that's
killing
not
our citizens
what
when
he
they come in.
said.
We are living right now in a rat's nest. They're killing our people in New York, in California.
Dude, that's
in
not
every
good. Don't
state in the union,
equate
because
them
we
to
don't have borders
vermin.
anymore. Every state is now a border, and because of his ridiculous insane and very stupid policies, people are coming in and they're killing our citizens at a level that we've never seen. We call it migrant crime. I call it Biden migrant crime. They're killing our
He
citizens.
thought
Got
on that one a lot. Ooh, you got it, dude.
Incredible young girls over the last few days.
3 incredible
One
young
of them just
girls.
spoke to
What
the
are we,
mother,
Dr.
and
Disrespect?
He just had the funeral for this girl,
Damn.
12 years old. This is horrible what's taken place. What's taken place in our country, we're literally
Dude, just not
an
answering the
uncivilized
question.
country now. He doesn't want it to be. He just doesn't know. He opened the borders. Nobody's ever seen anything like. And we have to get a lot of these people out, and we have to get them out fast because they're going to destroy our country. Just take a look at where they're living. They're living
He said
in
we got to get a
luxury
lot of
hotels
people out, right?
in New York City and other
Luxury
places.
hotel,
Our
right?
veterans are on the street. They're dying because he doesn't care about our veterans. He doesn't care. He doesn't like the military at all. And
What
he
are
doesn't
we
care
talking
our veterans.
about?
Nobody been worse. I had the highest approval rating for veterans. taking
What
care
are
of
we
the
talking
veterans.
about?
He has the worst. He's gotten rid of all the things that I approved. Choice that I got through Congress, all of the different things I approved, they abandoned. We had by far the highest, and now it's down in less than half because he's done all these great things that we did. And I think he did it just because I approved it, which is
What are we
crazy.
talking
But
about?
he has killed so many people at our border by
He went,
allowing all of these
he went off
people
like
to
4
come in.
tangents.
Oh my God, yeah, like I'm lost.
You have the mic.
He just
Every
didn't answer the
single thing is
question
a
either.
lie. Every single one. For example, veterans are a hell of a lot better off since I passed the PACT Act. 1 million of them now have insurance, and their families have it. Their families have it because what happened,
Get him with that pin,
whether it was
Joe.
Agent Orange or burn pits, they're all being covered now. And his group opposed that. We're also in a situation
That is
where
true. Mitch
there's great
McConnell
respect
went
for veterans.
super
My
hard
son-
on the
my
burn
son
pits.
spent a year in Iraq, living right next to one of those burn pits, came back with stage 4 glioblastoma. I was recently in France for D-Day, and I spoke all about those heroes that died. I went to the World War II cemetery, World War I cemetery he refused to go to. He was standing with his 4-star general, and he told me, he said, I don't want to go in there because they're a bunch of losers and suckers. My son was not a loser, he's not a sucker. You're the sucker, you're the loser.
President Trump?
First
Right,
of
he
all,
hit that
was
like
a
he
made-up
meant it.
word, Suckers and losers. They made it up. It was in a third-rate magazine that's failing, like many of these magazines. He made that
Fuck
up.
magazines.
He put it in commercials. We've notified him. We had 19 people that said I didn't say it. And think of this. Who would say I'm at a cemetery or I'm talking about our veterans? Because nobody's taken better care. I'm so glad this came up, and he brought it up. There's nobody that's taken better care of our soldiers than I have. To think that I would, in front of generals and others, say suckers and losers. We have 19 people that said it was never said by me. It was made up by him, just like Russia was made up.
Damn,
Just
we're
like
back
the
to that again.
51 intelligence agents are made up.
No, focus,
Just like
focus.
the new thing with the 16 economists are talking. It's the same thing. 51 intelligence agents said that the laptop was Russia disinformation. It wasn't. That came from his son
Why
Hunter.
are we talking about
It
Hunter
wasn't
Biden?
Russia disinformation. He made up the suckers and losers, so he should apologize to me right now.
You be
General
nice.
standing to your side who's on your staff who said you said it. Period. That's number one. And number two, the idea that I have to apologize to you for anything along the line. We've done more for veterans than any president has in American history. And they now are in their family. The only sacred obligation we have as a country is to care for our veterans when they come home and their families and equip them when they go to war. That's what we're doing. That's what the VA is doing now. They're doing more for veterans than ever before in our history.
Okay, he locked in for that one actually. He was
Topic
that
of
seemed to
foreign
genuinely
policy. I want to
upset
begin
him.
with Russia's war against Ukraine, which is
I
now
will say
in
it is a
its
funny virtue signal that
Former
everybody's like
president-
support the troops, support the troops. 0 people watching this debate know what Biden passed. I don't think anybody probably knows what Trump passed.
One for troop support and stuff like that.
Yeah, VA reform.
Trump. Russian President Vladimir Putin says
Oh my
he'll
God, can I
only
predict
end
it?
this war if Russia keeps
I feel certain. I don't know, because I know that Trump is going to be like, if I were in office, it would have never happened. It would have never happened. And if Biden was smart, he would just fucking quote everything Trump said, like at the time that it was beginning. But I don't think he's going to do that. I think he's just going to be like, oh, you fucking kind of like Putin, don't you? And that'll be pretty much it.
keeps the Ukrainian territory it has already claimed, and Ukraine abandons its bid to join NATO. Are Putin's terms acceptable to you?
First of all, our veterans and our soldiers can't stand this guy. They can't stand him. They think he's the worst commander-in-chief, if that's what you call him.
Someday
that
we'll
we've
get
ever
an
had.
answer.
They can't stand him. So let's get that straight. And they like me more than just about any of them. And that's based on every single bit of information. As far as Russia and Ukraine, if we had a real president, a president that was respected by Putin, he would have never invaded Ukraine.
Oh my God.
A lot of people are dead right now, much more than people know. You know, they talk about numbers. You can double those numbers, maybe triple those numbers. He did nothing to stop it. In fact, I think he encouraged
Nothing to
Russia go
stop
on.
it.
I'll tell you what happened. He was so bad with Afghanistan. It was such a horrible,
Oh my God,
embarrassing, most
we're talking about
embarrassing moment
Afghanistan
in
now?
the history of our country. That when Putin watched that and he saw the incompetence, that he should have fired those generals, like I fired the one that you mentioned, and so he's got no love lost. But he should have fired those generals. No general got fired for the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country, Afghanistan. Where we
The
lost
history of our
billions
country. Who's
dollars
walking in front of the camera?
We lost 13 beautiful soldiers, and 38 soldiers were obliterated. And by the way, we left people behind.
I'm
too.
fixing
we
the
left
lights.
American citizens behind. When Putin saw that, he said, "You know what? I think we're going to go in and maybe take my." This was his dream. I talked to him about it. His dream. The difference is he never
talked
would
to
have
him about it.
invaded Ukraine. Never. Just like Israel would have never been invaded in a million
Oh my
years
God.
by Hamas. You know why? Because Iran was broke with me. I wouldn't let anybody do business with them. They ran out of money. They were broke. They had no money for Hamas. They
Biden
had
has
no
not
money for
restarted the
anything.
Iran nuclear
no money
deal.
for terror. That's why you had no terror at all during my administration. This place, the whole world is blowing up under him.
See, it's this one is like unexpected racism, but there was terrorism. It was just done by white people in his administration. Look at the Las Vegas shooters, multiple school shooters. Like, there is terrorism. It's just not by the people you don't like.
Wait, I thought Iran, correct me if I'm wrong, Iran was bombing the caravans,
Which caravans?
the support caravans
For
for Gaza, I think, correct?
no, not unless it was like a one-time thing or something like that.
Well, I know they bombed. Oh, it was American support caravans because we bombed them back.
Oh yeah, no, you're thinking of oh, what's their name? It's a terrorist group. They operate out of I think they operate out of Iran or Yemen. What is that name? Green flag with white text or white flag with green text on it? What is their name? I know who you're talking about. Yeah, no, that's a terrorist group.
Yeah. Okay. I know
What
it
is
was
their
out,
name?
but because I know it was out of Iran. That's why it happened. But
Yeah, because America bombed them back, and it was like, dude,
Yeah.
fucking chill. I can't think of their name. It's not. Yeah, it's a terrorist group.
Where let's take the last point first. Iran attacked American troops, caused brain damage for a number of these troops, and he did nothing about it. Recently, not when he was president, they attacked. He said they're just having headaches. That's
The
all it is.
Houthis.
He didn't do a thing.
That's what it
when
was.
the attack took place. Number one. Number two, we got over 100,000 Americans and others out of Afghanistan during that airlift. Number three, we found ourselves in a situation where, if you take a look at what Trump did in Ukraine, this guy told Trump, do whatever you want, and do whatever
He
you
did say
want.
that.
And that's exactly what Trump did to Putin, encourage him, do whatever you want. And he went in. And listen to what he said when he went in. He was going to take Kyiv in 5 days, remember? Because it's part of the old Soviet Union. That's what he wanted to reestablish, Kyiv. And he, in fact, didn't do it at all. He wasn't able to get it done. And they've lost thousands and thousands of troops, 500,000 troops.
President Trump
Even pronounced it the Ukrainian way
I
and
just
not the
wanna
Russian
go
way.
Back to my original question, which
Kyiv,
is,
not Kiev.
are Putin's terms acceptable to you? Keeping the
No, they're
territory
not
in Ukraine.
acceptable. No, they're not acceptable. But look, this is a war that never should have started. If we had a leader in this war, he led everybody along. He's given $200 billion now or more to Ukraine. He's given $200 billion. That's a lot of money. I don't
Yeah,
think there's
see,
ever been
it's
anything
he's
like it.
fucking.
Every time
Oh,
that
Yeah.
he
Zelensky
gave them
comes to this
$200 billion
country,
of
he throws
real
$60
green
billion.
dollar
It's
bills
the
with
greatest salesman
Abraham
ever.
Lincoln on it.
And I'm not knocking him.
Dude,
I'm not knocking
that's
anything.
not how
I'm
that
only
works.
saying the money that we're spending on this war, and we shouldn't be spending, it should have never happened. I will have that war settled between Putin and Zelensky as president-elect before I take office on January 20th. I'll have that war settled. People being killed.
Do you know what his plan
so
is to settle it, by the
needlessly,
way?
so stupidly. And I
Give
will
him
get
the
it settled, and I'll get it settled fast before I
Crimea.
take office.
No.
You know,
His plan for settling it,
the
right?
fact is,
He's said this, by the way. Like, Trump has said this himself. He's like, I'm going to sit him down, and I'm going to be like, you know, Zelensky, you got to meet him in the middle, and Putin, you've got to stop invading, and if you don't, we're going to send Ukraine a ton of money and guns and shit. It's like, it's literally Biden's plan. Like, it's the exact same thing. Where he's like, but with a 24-hour notice of him telling him he's going to do it before. Like, that's literally it. He's like, you have 24 hours. We're going to flood Ukraine with all the weapons and everything they need to destroy you. And it's like, that's literally what we're doing. Like, that's exactly what's happening.
is that Putin is a war criminal. He's killed thousands and thousands of people.
Believe me, I
And
know.
He has made one thing clear. He wants to reestablish what was part of the Soviet Empire, not just a piece. He wants all of Ukraine. That's what he wants. And then you think he'll stop there? Do you think he'll stop when if he takes Ukraine? What do you think happens to Poland? What do you think of Belarus? What do you think happens to those NATO countries? And so if you want a war, you ought to find out what he's going to do, because if in fact he does what he says and walks away, by the way, all that money we give Ukraine are from weapons we make here in the United States. We give them the weapons, not the money at this point. And our NATO allies have produced as much funding for Ukraine as we have. That's why we're strong.
I mean, it means
Thank you.
all
Moving on
together
to the
they've
Middle East.
produced as much.
In October,
Germany actually went
Hamas
pretty hard
attacked
for a little
Israel, killing more than 1,000 people and taking hundreds of hostages. Among those held and thought to still
Time for
be
Biden
alive
to
are
really,
5 Americans.
really put the final
Israel's
nail in his
response
coffin.
has killed thousands of Palestinians and created a humanitarian crisis in Gaza. President Biden, you've put forward a proposal to resolve this conflict, but so far Hamas has not released the remaining hostages, and Israel is continuing its military offensive
kill
in
yourself.
Gaza. So what additional leverage will you use to get Hamas and Israel to end the war? You have 2 minutes.
What an awful way to phrase that question.
Everyone from the United Nations Security Council straight through to the G7 to the Israelis and Netanyahu himself have endorsed the plan I put forward. Which has 3 stages to it. The first stage is trade the hostages for a ceasefire.
Hamas has
Second
already
phase is a
agreed to this.
ceasefire with additional conditions. The third phase is the end of the war. The only one who wants the war to continue is Hamas. Number one, they're the only
Bro.
ones standing out.
Bro.
They're still pushing hard to get them to accept. In the meantime,
They've already
what's
accepted
happening
it.
in Israel, we're finding the only thing I've denied Israel was 2,000-pound bombs. They don't work very well in populated areas. They kill a lot of innocent people. We're providing Israel all the weapons they need and when they need them. And by the way, I'm the guy that organized the world against Iran when they had a full-blown intercontinental ballistic missile attack on Israel. No one was hurt. No one Israeli was accidentally killed, and it just stopped. We saved Israel. We are the biggest producer of support for Israel of anyone in the world. And so there are 2 different things. Hamas cannot be allowed to be continued. We continue to send our experts and our intelligence people as to how they can get Hamas like we did bin Laden. You don't have to do it. And by the way, they've been greatly weakened, Hamas. Greatly weakened, and they should be. They should be eliminated.
Greatly weakened.
But you've got to be careful for using certain weapons among population centers.
Just going back to
I
Ukraine
mean, that
for
we
one
literally
second.
just had the attack
We have
that
the ocean
wounded almost
separating
1,000
us.
people and killed over 200 to rescue 4 hostages, and they fled to the humanitarian aid pier that Biden's been constructing. So I don't know how well that lands.
European nations together have spent $100 billion, or maybe more than that, less than us, Why doesn't he call them and say, you got to put up your money like I did with NATO? I got them
my
to put
God.
up hundreds of billions of dollars. The Secretary General of NATO said Trump did the most incredible job I've ever seen. They wouldn't have any. They were going out of business. We were spending
He's the GOAT,
almost
man.
100% of the money was paid by us. He didn't do that. He's getting all. You got to ask these people to put up the money. We're over $100 billion more spent, and it has a bigger impact on them because of location, because we have an ocean in between. You got to ask them. As far as Israel and Hamas, Israel's the one that wants to go. He said the only one who wants to keep going is Hamas. Actually, Israel is the one, and you should let him go and let him finish the job. He doesn't want to do it. He's become like
Jesus.
a Palestinian, but they don't like him because he's a very bad Palestinian. He's a weak one.
President Biden, you have a minute.
I think this is acing the Republican debate in terms of genocidal rhetoric.
Are you going to stay in NATO? He's going to pull out of NATO. The idea that we have our strength lies in our alliances as well. It may be a big ocean, but we're ever able to avoid a war in Europe, a major war in Europe? What happens if, in fact, you have Putin continue to go into NATO? We have an Article 5 agreement. Attack on one is attack on all. You want to start the nuclear war he keeps talking about, go ahead. Let Putin go in and control Ukraine and then move on to Poland and other places. See what happens then. He has no idea what the hell he's talking about. And by the way, I got 50 other nations around the world to support Ukraine, including Japan and South Korea, because they understand that this kind of dislocation has a serious threat to the whole world peace. No major war in Europe has ever been able to be contained just to Europe.
President Trump,
Pretty
just
solid
to
answer.
follow up, would you
I
support
don't know
the
why we're back
creation
on
of
Ukraine,
an independent
but-
Palestinian state in order to achieve peace in the region?
I'd have to see, but before we do that, the
Oh my
problem
God.
we have is that we spend all the money. So they kill us on trade. I made great trade deals with the European nations because if you add them up, they're about the same size economically. Their economy is about the same size as the United States. And they were no cars, they don't want anything that we have, but we're supposed to take their cars, their food, their everything, their agriculture. I changed that. But the big thing I changed is they don't want to pay. And the only reason that he can play games with NATO is because I got them to put up hundreds of billions of dollars. I said, and he's right about this, I said, no, I'm not going to support NATO if you don't pay. They asked me that question, would you guard us against Russia? At a very secret meeting of the 28 states at that time, the nations at that time. And they said, no, if you don't pay, I won't do that. And you know what happened? Billions and billions of dollars came flowing in the next day and the next months. But now we're in the same position. We're paying everybody's
Thank you.
bills.
Let's turn to
Do
the
we
issue
not
of
just say that
democracy.
they've contributed
Former
as much as
President
we
Trump
have to Ukraine?
To the Ukraine portion.
Yeah. Like they said that
yeah,
earlier.
I think collectively, right, was the determinative.
Sure, but like you can't expect,
Yeah.
Spain to put up as much as we do, right?
Sure.
Like that sounds about right.
I want to ask you about January 6, 2021. After
Oh my
you
God, this
rallied
is
your
gonna be
supporters
real
that
good.
day, some of them stormed the Capitol to stop the constitutionally mandated counting of electoral votes. As president, you swore an oath to, quote, preserve, protect, and defend, unquote, the Constitution. What do you say to voters who believe that you violated that oath through your actions and inaction on January 6th and worry that you'll do it again?
Well, I don't think too many believe that. And let me tell you about January 6th. On January 6th, we had a great border. Nobody coming through, very few. On January 6th,
Even
we were
Biden's like,
energy
dude,
independent.
fuck
On
off.
January 6th,
Like,
we
what
had
are we
the lowest
talking about?
taxes ever. We had the lowest regulations ever. On January 6th, we were respected all over the world. All over the world, we were respected.
On January
And then he
6th,
comes
we
in,
were
and
respected
we
all
got
over the
laughed at.
world.
We're like a bunch of
I
stupid
don't
people.
know if that was the case.
What happened to the United States' reputation under this man's leadership is horrible, including weaponization, which I'm sure at some point you'll be talking about, where he goes after his political opponent because he can't beat him fair and square.
You have 80 seconds left.
Well, first off, he didn't even answer the question.
Oh yeah.
Like, I was like, bro, come on, man. Like, actually, just say
I
something.
mean, has he answered really any question? I think he answered abortion, sort of.
He's danced around a lot of stuff. I think he knows what his talking points are. I'm gonna let you predict the next statement because I've got to step away to the bathroom.
Oh, like Biden's response.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, he's maybe he'll bring up the fact that he didn't answer the question. That'd be entertaining. But I mean, it should be pretty cut and dry. Hopefully, Biden brings up the point that he was like, "You literally said to overturn the Constitution to reinstate yourself back in power." Like I think he posted that on his Truth Social website. It was like, "Overturn the Constitution, get me back in this bitch." Like if we're talking specifically about honoring someone's commitment to the Constitution, like that's about as far out as it can get. I mean, he could also just hit him on the fact that he's like, not very many people think that I acted out of order. It's like, you fucking a lot of people actually think that, believe it or not. Oh, this has been a wild ride already. I got a small spoiler from Twitter earlier. Hopefully it doesn't ruin the moment, you know. Guess we'll see. Dude, Twitter is banging right now though. I can't stay away. I really like getting sad anime music start to play in the middle of my presidential debates. It really contributes to the vibe. Oh my god. Only possums can comfort me at a time like that.
Okay, I'm back.
Welcome.
Sorry, I'm a little on the sick side.
Big sick boy.
Question was, what do you say to those voters who believe that you violated your constitutional oath through your actions in election on January 6, 2021, and worry that you'll do it again?
Well, I didn't say that to anybody. I said peacefully and patriotically. And Nancy Pelosi, if you just watched the news from 2 days ago, on tape to her daughter, who's a documentary filmmaker, they say, but she's saying, oh, no, it's my responsibility. I was responsible for this. Because I offered her 10,000 soldiers or National Guard, and she turned them down. And the mayor in writing, by the way, the mayor, in writing, turned it down, the mayor of D.C. They turned it down. I offered 10,000 because I could see, I had virtually nothing to do. They asked me to go make a speech. I could see what was happening. Everybody was saying they're going to be there on January 6th. They're going to be there. And I said, you know what? There's a lot of people coming. You could feel it. You could feel it too, and you could feel it. And I said, they ought to have some National Guard or whatever. And I offered
this
it
is
to
a
her,
brutal
and she
lie.
now admits
Holy
that
shit.
she turned it down. And it was the same day she was, I don't know, she can't be very happy with her daughter because it made her into a liar. She said, I take full responsibility for January 6th.
President
Biden. That is what someone who's like major.
He encouraged those folks to go up on Capitol Hill, number one.
True.
I sat in the dining room off the Oval Office. He sat there for 3 hours. 3 hours watching, begging, being begged by his vice president and a number of his colleagues on the Republican side as well to do something, to call for a stop, to end it. Instead, he talked about these people being patriots and great patrons of America. In fact, he says he'll not forgive them for what they've done. They've been convicted. He says he wants to commute their sentences. and say that no, he went to every single court in the nation. I don't know how many cases, scores of cases, including
61, I'm
Supreme
pretty
Court.
sure.
And they said, no, this guy is responsible for doing what was done. He did do a damn thing.
Oh, I thought he was talking about
And
the
these
voter.
people should be in jail, and they should be the ones who are being held accountable. And he wants to let them all out. And now he says if he loses again, such a whiner that he is, that it could be a bloodbath.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump?
What they've done to some people that are so innocent, you ought to be
So
ashamed
innocent.
of yourself. What you have done, how you've destroyed the lives of so many people. When they ripped down Portland, when they ripped down
Oh my
many
God.
other cities. You go to Minnesota, Minneapolis.
Oh my God.
What they've done there with the fires all over the city. If I didn't bring in the National Guard, that city would have been destroyed. When you look at all of the
He
they
wasn't-
took over big chunks of Seattle. I was all
He
set
wasn't
to bring in
president.
the National Guard. They heard that. They saw them coming, and they
You
left
were president.
immediately. What he said about this whole subject is so off. Peacefully patriotic. One other thing.
What? He just roasted Biden for something that happened under his presidency.
Basically, two horrible Republicans that are all gone now, out of office, and Democrats, all Democrats. They destroyed and deleted all of the information they found because they found out we were right. We were right. And they deleted and destroyed all of the information. They should go to jail for that. If a Republican did that, they'd go to jail.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden,
I think he's talking about the January 6th committee
Stage
getting
is
rid
a
of all their
convicted
information
felon
that they
is what
had.
we're looking at right now. And the fact of the matter is, what he's telling you is simply not true. The fact is that there was no effort on his part to stop what was going on up in Capitol Hill. And all those people, every one of those who were convicted, deserves to be convicted. The idea that they didn't kill somebody, just went in and broke down doors, broke the windows, occupied offices, turned over desks, turned them over statues. The idea that those people are patriots? Come on. When I asked him the first two debates we had, first time around, I said, will you denounce the Proud Boys? He said, no, I'll tell them to stand by. The idea he's refusing, will you denounce these guys? Will you denounce the people we're talking about now? Will you denounce the people who attacked that Capitol? What are you going to do?
I'm going to give you a minute, President Trump, for a follow-up question I have. After a jury convicted you of 34 felonies last month, you said if reelected, you would, quote, have every right to go after, unquote, your political opponents. You just talked about members of the Select Committee on January 6th going to jail. Your main political opponent is standing on stage with you tonight. Can you clarify exactly what it means about you feeling you have every right to go after your political opponents?
Well, I said my retribution is going to be success. We're going to make this country successful again, because right now it's a failing nation. My retribution is going to be success. But when he talks about a convicted felon, his son is a convicted felon at a very high level. His son is convicted, going to be convicted.
Why do we
probably
always end up
numerous
back
other
here?
times. Should have been convicted before, but his Justice Department let the statute of limitations lapse on the most important things. But he could be a convicted felon as soon as he gets out of office. Joe could be a convicted felon with all of the things that he's done. He's done horrible things. All of
Oh
the
my
death
God.
caused at the
Oh,
border.
wait. Oh my
Telling
God.
the Ukrainian people that we're going to want $1 billion or you change the prosecutor. Otherwise, you're not getting $1 billion. If I ever said that, that's quid pro quo. That we're not going to do anything. We're not going to give you $1 billion unless you change your prosecutor, having to do with his son. This man is a criminal. This man, you're lucky. You're lucky. I did nothing wrong. We'd have a system that was rigged and disgusting. I did nothing wrong.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden, you have said, I'm coming right to you, sir.
Man,
well, you want
it
to
really
respond? I'll
is.
give you a minute to respond.
It really is
The
just the
idea
makeup hour.
That I did anything wrong relative to what you're talking about.
They've already investigated Biden like 2 or 3 times, and they keep giving up because they don't have
The
anything.
idea that you have a right to seek retribution against any American just because you're president is wrong. It's simply wrong. No president's ever spoken like that before. No president in our history has spoken like that before. Number 3, the crimes that you are still charged with. And think of all the civil penalties you have. How many billions of dollars do you owe in civil penalties for molesting?
Yeah, get your money up, bitch.
A
Sorry.
range of things, of having sex with a porn star on the night while your wife was pregnant. I mean, what are you talking about? You have the morals of an alley cat.
I
Oh
didn't
my
have sex
goodness.
with a porn star, number 1. Number two, that was a case that was started.
Dude, he just Jimmy
and
Stewarted
moved-
that
they moved
motherfucker.
A high-ranking official, a DOJ, into the Manhattan DA's office to start that case. That case is going to be appealed and won. We had a very terrible judge, a horrible judge, Democrat. The
Oh, wait.
prosecutor were
Wait, he
all
might get himself in
high-ranking
trouble here.
Democrats, appointed people, and both the civil and the criminal. He basically went after his political opponent because he thought it was going to damage me. But when the public found out about these cases, because they understand it better than he does, he has no idea what these cases are. But when they found out about these cases, you know what they did? My poll numbers went up, way up. You know that because you're reporting it. And we took in more money in the last 2 weeks than we've ever taken in the history of
Is he gonna
any
get himself in
campaign.
trouble
I don't
for
think
that?
Any campaign has ever taken. Hundreds of millions of dollars came pouring in because the public knows it's a scam and it's a guy that's after his political opponent because he can't win fair and square.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden, you have said, quote, Donald Trump and his MAGA Republicans are determined to destroy American democracy. Do you believe that the tens of millions of Americans who are likely to vote for President Trump will be voting against American democracy?
The more they know about what he's done, yes. The more they know about what he's done. And there's a lot more coming. He's got a lot of cases down the road coming around. He's got a whole range of issues he has to face. I don't know what the juries will do, but I do know he has a real problem. And so the fact that, could you ever think you heard any president say that I'm going to seek retribution? Do you ever hear any
Yeah,
president say
we're
that
on
he
we're
thought
on
Hitler had
fucking
some good
civility
ideas?
politics.
What got me involved to run in the first place after my son had died, I decided in Iraq, because of Iraq, I said I wasn't going to run again until I saw what happened in Charlottesville, Virginia. People coming out of the woods carrying swastikas on torches, and singing the same anti-Semitic bile they sang when back in Germany. And the young woman got killed. I spoke to the mother, and they asked him. They said, "What do you think of those people? The ones who got killed, the one who tried to stop it, and the ones," he said, "I think they're fine people on both sides." What American president would ever say Nazis coming out of fields carrying torches, singing the same anti-Semitic bile, carrying swastikas were fine people? And this is the guy who says Hitler's done some good things. I'd like to know what they are. The good things Hitler's done, that's what he said. This guy has no sense of American democracy.
President Trump.
That's a good answer.
Jake, both of you know that story has been totally wiped out because when you see the sentence, it said 100% exoneration on that. So he just keeps it going. He says he ran because of Charlottesville. He didn't run because of Charlottesville. He ran because it was his last
He ran
chance.
because it was Charlottesville, yeah.
He's not equipped to be president. You know it, and I know it. It's ridiculous. We have a debate. We're trying to justify his presidency. His presidency, he's without question the worst president, the worst presidency in the history of our country. We shouldn't be having a debate about it. There's nothing to debate. He made up the Charlottesville story, and you'll see it's debunked all over the place. Every anchor every reasonable anchor has debunked it. And just the other day, it came.
This
out
is a
where it
weird
was
argument.
Fully debunked. It's a nonsense story. He knows that, and he didn't run because of Charlottesville. He used that as an excuse to run.
President Biden.
Because like, if you go to the,
All you have to do is listen to what was said at the time. And the idea that somehow that's the only reason I ran. I ran because I was worried a guy like this guy could get elected. If he thought they were good people coming out of that forest, carrying those woods, carrying those
saying the
torches,
same
then
anti-Semitic
he
bile
didn't
that came
deserve
out
to be
of.
president.
Oh, okay.
Didn't
I
deserve
was
to
going
be
to say it
president
again.
at all. And the idea that he's talking about all this being fabricated, we saw with our own eyes. We saw what happened on January 6th. We saw the people breaking through the windows. We saw people occupying his own vice president. Look, there's a reason why.
You can stick to
40 of his
Charlottesville. You don't have to
44
pivot
top
off.
Cabinet officers refused to endorse him this time. His vice president hasn't endorsed him this time. So why? Why? They know him well. They serve with him. Why are they not endorsing him?
Why does he got kind of a cunty
Thank you,
expression?
President Biden. We're going to be right back
Right?
with
He
more
was
from the
kinda-
CNN.
Felt like he should be posing, right? He was kind of, babe, you know?
That face. Like I said, I think they should have clarified more when they're talking about debunked.
Well, I guess
Basically,
like
the only thing was debunked was he never said that there were good people on, but like there wasn't good neo-Nazis or whatever.
Well, no, like there's because like Republicans will post it and they'll be like, "This is the actual clip," and it's like, it's him being like, you know, they shouldn't do that. But then you like 2 seconds afterwards, they're like, you know, do you contend? It's like, you know, there's good people on both sides. It's like you don't need to say that. Like, It's like Democrats will post like one part of the video, and then Republicans will post like a different part of the video, and both act like it's the same thing.
Yeah, like I said, it's just some stupid stuff. Like, let's get caught up on this one statement, but like there were literally just countless times where he was like, "This anti-Semitism is fucked up and wrong." And I'm like, okay, that's all.
Like
you're gonna
after the
say.
fact, yeah,
Well, I mean, you're not gonna say it before it happens.
or like while it happens, right? Because it was across like the night before and then the day after. Most of the day after.
Presidential debate.
Thousand people who remain in state-operated
who are
Sorry.
Let's talk about persistent challenges you both faced in your first terms and you'd certainly face again in a second term. President Biden, while black unemployment dropped to a record low under your presidency, black families still earned far less than white families. Black mothers are still 3 times more likely to die from pregnancy-related causes, and black Americans are imprisoned at 5 times the rate of white Americans. What do you say to black voters who are disappointed that you haven't made more progress?
They acknowledge they made a lot of progress, number one. The fact of the matter is there are more small black businesses that have been started than any time in history.
Liberal.
The wages of black unemployment is the lowest level it's been in a long, long time.
Liberal.
We're trying to provide housing for black Americans and dealing with the segregation that exists among these corporate corporations that collude to keep people out of their houses. And in addition to that, we find that the impact on the choice that black families have to make relative to child care is incredibly difficult. When we did the first major piece of legislation in the past, I was able to reduce black child care costs. I cut them in half. We've got to make sure we provide for child care costs. We've got to make sure, because when you provide those child care protections, you increase economic growth because more people can be in the job market. So there's more to be done, considerably more to be done. But we've done a great deal so far, and I'm not letting up, and they know it.
You have 49 seconds left. What do you say to black voters who are disappointed with the progress so far?
He just denies they exist.
Disappointed. Inflation is still hurting them badly. For example, I provided for the idea that any black family, first-time home buyer, should get a $10,000 tax credit to be able to buy their first home.
Well, that was anybody though, right?
I made sure that we're in a situation where all those black families...
He was saying there's a $10,000 credit for anybody buying their first home. That was not exclusive to black people though. That was everybody, right?
I believe so.
We take out student loans that would balloon.
Student loans, yeah, nothing to do with black people.
Engaged in nursing, doctor, and anything having to do with volunteerism. If they paid their bills for 10 years on their student debt, all the rest is forgiven after 10 years. Millions have benefited from that. And we're going to do a whole lot more for black families.
So yeah, that was actually a more acute like response than I would have expected him to be capable of doing, honestly. It was a lie, obviously, but like I didn't expect him to be able to have that in his repertoire.
Yeah,
like that was a decent pivot. It's a lie, like I said, but it was a decent pivot.
He's blaming inflation, and he's right, it's been very bad. He caused the inflation, and it's killing black families and Hispanic families and just about everybody. It's killing people. They can't...
The fucking numbers are killing
anymore.
us.
They can't... You look at the cost of food where it's doubled and tripled and quadrupled. They can't live. They're not living anymore. He caused this inflation. I gave him a country with essentially no inflation.
Oh my God.
It was perfect. It was so good.
Babe.
All he had to do is leave it alone. He destroyed it with his
Quit touching my country.
All this money that's being thrown out the window. He caused inflation. As sure as you're sitting there, the fact is that his big kill on the black people is the millions of people that he's allowed to come in through the border. They're taking black jobs now. And it could be
Oh my
18,
God.
It could be 19 and even 20 million people. They're taking black jobs and they're taking Hispanic jobs, and you haven't seen it yet, but you're going to see something that's going to be the worst in our history.
Thank you. President Biden?
There was no inflation when I became president. You know why? The economy was flat on its back. 50% unemployment. He decimated the economy, absolutely decimated the economy. That's why there was no inflation at the time. There were no jobs. We provided thousands and millions of jobs for individuals who are in all communities, including minority communities. We made sure that they have health insurance. We have covered, the ACA has increased. I made sure that they're $8,000 per person in a family to get written off for health care. But this guy wants to eliminate that. They tried 50 times. He wants to get rid of the ACA again, and they're going to try again if they win. We find ourselves in a position where the idea that we're not doing any, we put more police on the street than any administration has.
Oh, yeah, there's a winner.
We're providing for equity and making sure people have a shot to make it. There's a lot going on, but in inflation, he caused it by his tremendous malfeasance in the way he handled the pandemic.
Thank you. Another persistent
And what, like, that's the
challenge
thing.
is
I actually talked about this last night, like,
2020
because I was playing Horizon Forbidden West, and I was just kind of going over what my expectations were. And I was like, he's just going to be a liberal about the economy the whole time. Where, like, the answer is clear that, like, clearly corporations are just, like, raising prices through the roof because they can. But he's going to be like, nah, inflation rates are low, bro. Nah, GDP is high, bro. And it's like, yeah, well, that doesn't fucking cut it, dude. Like, that's the thing. Like, you did good on the economy by, like, liberal or, like, conservative, like, in, like, the 2008 region. Like, by those standards, yeah, you did fucking perfect if you go by that. But it's not fucking making it to people. Like, the answer is further left than that. And that's why it's so frustrating, is that it's like you're not doing bad on it, but you're just not going far enough. Like, you've got to do something to rein in the fact that corporations are just raising prices to increase profit.
was the hottest year in recorded history, and communities across the country are confronting the devastating effects of extreme heat, intensifying wildfires, stronger hurricanes, and rising sea levels. Former President Trump, you've vowed to end your opponent's climate initiatives, but will you take any action as president to slow the climate crisis?
How do we make this about immigration?
Said about the police.
What'd you say?
I made a joke. I was like, how do we make this back about immigration?
Oh, yeah. Well, he's already pointing. Dude, you ready to go?
He's like, you think temperatures are rising? Immigration is rising. Illegal immigration. Like, shut up. Just talk about the topic.
Dude, can we? Joe's had some great fucking faces.
Oh my god, he's fucking like. I know that he's been prepped for this, and I know it's because he's a zombie. But every time it cuts to both of them, he looks shocked. Like he's like, "How could he say that about me?" Like, I love black people.
Close the police are to him. Almost every police group in the
Oh my
nation
God, the
from
Stewie
every
turn.
state is supporting Donald J. Trump. Almost every police group. And what he's done to the black population is horrible, including the fact that for 10 years he called them super predators. We can't, in the 1990s, we can't forget that.
Did I say that?
What? Does this have anything to do with climate?
What I did for criminal justice reform.
Yeah, he's just talking about criminal justice.
Oh my god.
This has been the whole debate.
I mean, I don't even. I have no problem with Joe's face doing. It's like I couldn't believe it either.
Great senator from South Carolina who came to me with the idea, and it was a great idea. It's one of the most successful economic development acts ever in the country. Opportunity zones. And the biggest beneficiary are blacks, and that's why we have the best numbers with them in maybe ever. They're saying ever. I read this morning where ever, the best numbers. He's lost much of the black population because he's done a horrible job for black people. He's also done a horrible job for Hispanics. But wait till you see these millions of people.
He brought up Brandon.
Oh my god, he did it!
Started, and you haven't seen anything yet. It's a disaster.
No. Dude, he literally did it. I was like, how did we make this about immigration? He's like, millions of people pouring across the board. It's like, no, just answer the question. It's like two separate sides of the same coin, where both of them are dementia riddled, and one can't talk, and the other is talking about fucking random shit.
And I want absolutely clean air, and we had it. We had H2O.
What?
We had the best
H2O. Oh,
like what? Like he's out of his mind. Like, well, I want clean air. We had it. We had H2O. H20 they call it. The inner cities, the suburbs, they call it H20. H20. We had it. Honestly, under me, it was H40. That's how much we had. It was so much water.
H2O. My favorite Halloween movie.
we had so much.
H2O.
We had
My
so
favorite
much
young
water.
adult series.
October's coming up, the month before voting. H2O, go watch it.
October 31st, a date. It's the worst day in American history. It's the worst day, well, in that one white woman's history. She had her house broken into, much like immigrants break across our border. Like, dude, like fucking focus.
Josh,
Dude.
I gotta tell you, I saw a tweet. I didn't retweet it yet because it cracked me up. When I went and walked to the bathroom, it said this debate so far, and it was Joe going, yeah, well, malarkey. And then it goes to Trump. It's like 1 million Guatemalans are tearing down the Lincoln statue as we speak.
Yeah, I fucking already retweeted.
Dude, that shit had me bowed over.
Dude, Joe Biden is looking at the demons in the room, and he's terrified by them. And Donald Trump is like, "They're my demons. They're here for me." Like,
Did you see the one I retweeted where I was like, "This is gonna be bad for the tour."
I saw. I'm seeing these tweets independent of you, actually. Like we're both seeing the same thing.
Oh my god.
This is awful. I'm having a great time.
What's actually funny is so far the 90% of the tweets is that this debate was just a fucking travesty.
Well, I actually said it last night because I was so
like,
confident.
very nice.
I was so confident last night. I was like, no one wins, Biden loses. And at this point, I think I'm still right because Trump is literally rambling about anything, and that's not going to turn away any of his voters. But Biden is still like, I fucking love Israel. The corpses of Palestinian children are my phone's wallpaper. Like, he's still on this bullshit.
Damn.
And we were using all forms of energy.
He's like,
all
home
forms,
wallpaper, not
everything.
lock.
And yet, during my 4 years, I had the best environmental numbers ever. And my top environmental people gave me that statistic just before I walked on the stage, actually.
What?
I don't know where the hell he's been.
That's so real.
I passed the most extensive climate change legislation in history.
He's literally right about this.
We find ourselves, and by the way,
I don't know where the hell he's been.
Came up with $15 billion for HBCUs, historic black universities and colleges.
Oh
no, he's cooking them. Wait.
They don't have the kind of.
Wait, he jumped back to black.
To build these laboratories.
Yeah, he's hitting all the points.
Black students capable in college.
Yeah,
don't
he's
talk about
basic.
immigration.
They just don't have the money, but now they'll be able to get those jobs in high tech. We're in a situation where the idea that he is claiming to have done something that had the cleanest water, he hadn't done a damn thing with the environment. He pulled out of the Paris Peace Accord, Climate Accord. I immediately joined it because if we reach 1.5 degrees Celsius at any one point, there's no way back. The only existential threat to humanity is climate change, and he didn't do a damn thing about it. He wants to undo all that I've done.
So he actually.
The Paris Accord was going to cost us $1 trillion, and China nothing, and Russia nothing, and India nothing. It was a ripoff of the United States. And I ended it because I didn't want to waste that money because they treat us horribly. We were the only ones who was costing us money. Nobody else was paying into it. And it was a disaster. But everything that he said just now, I'll give you an example. I heard him say before insulin. I'm the one that got the insulin down.
Insulin?
I took care of the
No,
seniors.
you wasn't.
What are we talking about?
Destroying all of our medical programs because the migrants coming in, they want.
The Mexicans are raising insulin prices,
which is
destroying our country. They're taking over our schools, our hospitals, and they're going to be taking over Social Security. He is destroying Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid.
He's seeing demons. Like he's spirit tuning with the forest.
In fact, we were the only ones of consequence who were not members of the Paris Accord.
Joe Biden is like climate, and he's like, I fucking hate Mexicans.
one of the largest polluters in the world.
Insulin went up.
Number one.
Mexicans
We're making
went up.
significant progress.
It's the Mexicans.
By 2035, we will have cut pollution in half. We have made significant progress, and we're continuing to make progress. We
Yeah,
started
this
the
is like
Army Corps,
a
and
key
thousands of young people
Biden
learning how to
achievement,
deal
yeah.
with climate, just like the Peace Corps, and we're moving in directions that are going to significantly change the elements of cause of pollution. But the idea that he claims
He loves that phrase,
he
the
has biggest
idea.
heart up here, and he's really concerned about pollution and about climate. I've not seen any indication of that. And by the way, with regard to prescription drugs,
Oh, he's gonna get
one
cut off.
company
He's going too
agreed
long.
that they would reduce the price to $35, which I was calling for, one, voluntarily. I made sure every company in the world, every pharmaceutical company, cannot have to pay.
Thank you.
And by the way,
Got his mic.
So every day,
Oh, he
millions
didn't even
of
have to. He was like,
struggle
cool.
just to
Yeah.
make ends meet.
I
For
just
many
stopped.
older Americans, Social Security provides a critical lifeline. President Biden, if nothing is done to Social Security, seniors will see their benefits cut. in
Seniors.
just over
You.
10 years. Will
Fucking
you
both of
name
you, actually.
One specific step that you're willing to take to keep Social Security solvent.
yes, make the very wealthy begin to pay their fair share.
Real shit.
Right now, everybody making under $170,000 pays 6% of their income, of their paycheck, every single time they get a paycheck from the time the first one they get when they're 18 years old. The idea that they're going to, I propose
The idea.
everybody, they pay, the millionaires pay 1%. 1%. So no one I would not raise the cost of Social Security for anybody under $400,000. After that, I began to make the wealthy begin to pay their fair share by increasing from 1% beyond to be able to guarantee the program for life.
So you still have 82 seconds left. Are there any other measures that you think that would be able to help keep Social Security?
Say no other
solvent,
measures
or
are
is
necessary.
that one enough?
Well, no, that one enough will keep it solvent. But
There you
the
go.
biggest thing I'll do if we defeat this man, because he wants
Well-
to get rid of Social Security. He thinks there's plenty to cut in Social Security. He's wanting to cut Social Security and Medicare.
I don't think that's true, actually.
And if you look at the program put forward by the House Republican caucus that I believe supports,
What do
he's
you
in
think
fact
is not true?
going to cut it as well.
I
The
think
idea that-
Republicans
He doesn't wanna
under
cut
him want to, like, a lot of Republicans under him want to cut Social Security.
And by the way,
But I don't think that's true. I don't think Trump does.
greater healthcare coverage today than
Trump
ever
does want to
before.
cut Social
And
Security.
the ACA, as
Most
I said,
of
we're
them
in a
do.
circumstance where
No, yeah, I think most of them do. Do you have something that you can send for that? Because I haven't heard that, actually.
not having
Sure.
Yeah,
I
because
mean,
I've
okay.
definitely heard a ton of people under him, like a lot of fucking people under him, like Mitch McConnell and below, are super down for cutting. So I've heard him say the opposite, unless I'm thinking of Ron DeSantis.
Yeah, as far as I know, Trump has on open mic said he doesn't want to cut Social Security. Because I know they got the famous Biden exchange where he called him out at the State of the Union. They were all like, "No, none of us want to do that," and they booed him and all this other shit. And I was like, I don't know if it's for show or not. But I was like, and he's like, all right. I was like, well, let's put it to a thing.
I didn't think he was. I could be wrong.
insurance because they have a pre-existing condition. Only thing that allows them to have that insurance is the fact that they in fact are part of the ACA. And by the way, the other thing is we're in a situation where we talk about education for black communities. I've raised the the amount of money for Pell Grants by over $8,000. So anybody making under $70,000 a year.
Another lie.
Get
Not saying he didn't do that, but
towards the tuition.
you know what I mean? Like that's not black targeted. Like he's definitely.
Thank you, President Biden.
Yeah. So he's
I
kind of
mean,
slick
you
with
can-
those.
I mean, you can pause it right there. Trump suggests he's open to cut Medicare and Social Security after attacking primary rivals over the issue. Former President Donald Trump on Monday suggested he was open to making cuts on Social Security and Medicare after
Wow, this
opposing
Monday?
touching the entitlement programs and attacking his GOP presidential primary rivals over the issue.
Are you saying this Monday he said that?
Yes.
Wow. All right, that's new. I didn't see that.
No, that was March 11th. Sorry.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess I missed it. I didn't know that.
Been on this side of the equation for the last 8 years. I've never seen anybody lie like this guy. He lies. I've never seen it. He can look you in the face. About so many other things too. And we mentioned the laptop. We mentioned Russia,
my
Russia,
God, dude.
Ukraine. Everything he does is a lie. It's misinformation and disinformation. The losers and suckers story that he made up is a total lie on the military. It's a disgrace.
You're gonna get him mad again.
But Social Security, he's destroying it because millions of people are pouring into our country.
Dude,
and they're putting them
dude.
onto Social Security. They're putting them onto Medicare, Medicaid. They're putting them in our hospitals. They're taking the place of our citizens. What they're doing to the VA, to our veterans, is unbelievable. Our veterans are living in the street, and these people are living in luxury hotels. He doesn't know what he's doing, and it's really coming
An illegal
back. I've
immigrant
never seen such
passing
anger
background
in the
checks.
country
Just
before.
fucking.
President Biden?
Just fucking
The idea
imagine.
that veterans are not being taken care of.
Passing
World
background.
War IV.
Oh, you're hitting on the
He said
wrong
something
fucking
earlier. He
thing.
said he acknowledged after that he fired that general. That general got fired because he's the one that acknowledged that that's what he said. He was the one standing with Trump when he said it. Number one. Number two, the idea that we're going to be in a situation where all these millions and millions, the way he talks about it, illegal aliens are coming into the country and taking away our jobs. There's a reason why we have the fastest growing economy in the world. The reason why we have the most successful economy in the world. We're doing better than any other nation in the world. And by the way, those 15 Nobel laureates he talked about being phony, those 15 Nobel laureates, economists, they all said that if Trump is reelected, we're likely to have a recession and inflation is going to increasingly go up. And by the way, worst president in history, 159 presidential scholars voted him the worst president in the history of the United States of America.
President Biden, thank you so much. Let's turn to the cost of child care, which many
I had something, but I
families
lost it.
struggle to afford. President Trump, both you and President Biden have tried to address this issue, but the average cost of child care in this country has risen to more than $11,000 a year per child for many
Ooh, this is
families.
big pause
The
energy.
cost of child care for 2 children is more than their rent. In your second term, what would you do to make child care more affordable?
What do you say?
I said this is big pause territory because Biden did the child tax credit that cut child poverty in half for the time that it was running. So like, you could criticize him for the fact that like he stopped it, but as far as that child tax credit goes, that was pretty fucking clutch for the country.
It was very helpful,
I guess
especially coming from one of the people that actually benefited from it. I'd say yes, it was very beneficial and it helped quite a lot. So yeah, I'd love to hear what Trump has to say about it.
Just to go back,
Oh my God.
general got fired because he was no good. And if he said that, that's why he made it up. But we have 19 people that said I didn't say it, and they're very highly respected.
We don't care.
No, yeah, there's demons in the room. He's fighting them.
He doesn't fire people. He never fired people. I've never seen him fire.
He's
anybody. I did
he's
fire
not
him.
gonna
I fired
answer
Comey
it.
'cause he was
No,
good.
he's
I
not.
fired a lot of the top people at the FBI, drained the swamp. They were no good.
Oh, did you see him? He flicked his ear. He's got an earpiece in. He's got an earpiece in.
Oh, they're like, wake up, wake up.
You didn't fire people. You'd pay a price for it.
Breathe.
But they were no good.
Breathe.
I
He's like,
hated these people. I didn't put him. I didn't put Comey there. He was
tastes
no
like
good.
lies.
I fired him. This guy hasn't fired anybody. He never fires. He should have fired every military man that was involved with the Afghanistan
He
horror
will
show,
bring this to the
most
border.
embarrassing
He
moment
will
in the
bring
history
this
of
up.
our country.
He will bring this to the
He
border.
didn't fire. Did you fire anybody? Did you fire anybody that's on the border that's allowed
the
us
fucking
to
shit.
in the history of the world? Did anybody get fired for allowing 18 million people, many from prisons?
If he would just say,
from
like
mental
he's
institutions? Did
so
you fire
upset.
Anybody that allowed our country to be destroyed? Joe, our country is being destroyed.
what are you
as
talking
and I
about,
sit
man?
up here and waste a lot of time on this debate. This shouldn't be a debate. He is the worst president. He just said about me because I said it. But look,
Child
he's the
care,
worst
man.
president in the
Yeah,
history of
child
our
care.
country.
Come
Dude,
on.
like this is crazy to watch.
Now all of a sudden he's trying to get
So,
really tough on the
this
border.
is very 2016, where he's like, I'm just going to bully the hell out of everybody over just random bullshit the entire time. I don't know if that's like what they drove home for him. It was like, hey, man, just go in there and just be mean. Like, just yell at him. He
Well,
can't
that-
handle the pressure.
Well, that debate
That
was
was basically
was
it.
insane. Like that
was
debate.
That was a 2021.
Yeah, like my actual dude that I work with that's a big MAGA guy was like, I turned it off after like 25 minutes. He was like, I couldn't take
Yeah.
it. It was awful.
Well, I watched both because the first one with
Yeah, I
where he
watched them
was-
too.
was ass.
Like he ruined the whole thing. Like even the moderators were like, dude, you've got to chill, man. And on this one, they're muting him, so I know that's why he's not talking like throughout this whole thing.
That's the
Because
only reason why.
If they were not muting this motherfucker, you know what I mean? Like, because every single question he gets asked, he doesn't even answer the question. He just responds to what Joe Biden said last.
Yeah.
Or it just brings up Immigration.
Like it's really funny. Waiting for the immigration.
I
punchline.
legitimately think they told him, like, "Hey man, here's what you're gonna do. You're gonna go be mean to him because he's old, he can't handle it." And he goes, "And here's the 3 things you're gonna hammer home. Immigrants, Biden's economy sucks, and whatever." And that's like the 3 things he took, and he's just running with it every single question.
Well, I don't know.
Trump could literally get off the podium and take a shit. He's not losing any of his voters.
My thing is that because Joe Biden literally fucking blue screened in the first section of this debate, right?
Yeah.
But ever since then, I don't know if he was just ready for all these other talking points, or if he just kind of woke up. But he's responding to what he's saying, and he's starting to kind of be like, "Dude, what are you talking about?" But if he had started this making fun of him or whatever 20, 30 minutes ago when it started, this would be a slam dunk for all intents and purposes. But he's a billion years old.
Came out with a nothing deal, and it reduced it a little bit, like this much. It's
so small.
He
This
wants
is the
open
smallest
borders.
reduction.
He
Oh my
wants our
God,
country
dude.
to either be destroyed, or he wants to pick up those people as voters. And I don't think we just can't let it happen. If he wins this election, our country doesn't have a chance, not even a chance, of coming out of this rut. We probably won't have a country left anymore. That's how bad it is. He is the worst in history by far.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden.
Great child care
We're the most
question.
admired country in the world. We're the United States of America. There's nothing beyond our capacity. We have the finest military in the history of the world. The finest in the
I thought he was about to
history
take
of
it
the
a
world.
Hillary Clinton direction.
No one thinks we're weak. No one wants to screw around with us. Nobody. Number one. Number two, the idea that we're talking about worst presidents. I wasn't joking. Look it up. Go online.
He got
Google
lost.
it, bro.
Trump 58, don't hold me the exact
He
number.
got lost. He's
Take
responding to
some
what Trump said
stories
instead of
and
answering the
have meetings, and
question.
they voted. Who's the worst president in
Let's see
American
if he
history.
actually
The
goes
one
back
from
to it.
best to worst.
Let's just, he would be smoking him if he was calling him out for this.
American history. That's a fact. That's not conjecture. He can argue they're wrong, but that's what they voted.
Why are you being cunty over there? Stop.
To deal with child care.
His little.
He did virtually nothing
Hold on.
with child care. We should significantly increase the child care tax credit. We should significantly increase the availability of women and men, of single parents to be able to go back to work. And we should encourage businesses to have
Thank you, President
child care
Biden.
facilities.
President Trump, the question was about what would you do to make child care more affordable.
Thank
If
you.
want to take your minute.
Biden did exactly what he needed to do there.
We have
Oh, thanks.
He fucking
Shut the fuck up, Trump. Oh my God.
Wait, what did he do? What did he say?
They gave him another minute to do the child care thing. He's like, just a minute. And I was like, holy fuck.
I said I think Biden did exactly what he needed to do. He spent some of the time basically refronting what Trump's bullshit was, and then went back into childcare. That's all you have to do.
Like us, nobody ever cut taxes like us. He's the only one I know. He wants to raise your taxes by 4 times. He wants to raise everybody's taxes by 4 times. He wants the Trump tax cuts to expire.
What is that face for?
So everybody, including
Trump,
the
have you
poor, are
even
gonna pay
ever
45
changed a
times.
diaper besides
Nobody
your
ever
own?
did this before. All my life, I'd grow up and I'd see politicians talking about cutting taxes. When we cut taxes, as I said, we did more business.
He's like, I don't have children. I have a girlfriend in Ivanka, and some weird guy that always follows me around called Trump Jr.
Everybody knows it.
President Biden?
Look, the fact of the matter is that he's dead wrong about. He's increased the tariff. He will increase the taxes on middle class people. I said I'd never raise a tax on anybody making less than $400,000. I didn't. But this tariff is 10% tariffs. Everything coming in the country, you know what the economists say? That's going to cost the average American $2,500 a year more, because they're going to have to pay the difference in food and all the things that are important. Number two, he's in a situation where he talks about how he has not raised, he's somehow helped the middle class. The middle class have been devastated by you. Now you want a new tax cut of $5 trillion over the next 10 years, which is going to fundamentally bankrupt the country. You had the largest deficit of any president in American history, number one. Number two, you have not, in fact, made any contact, any progress with China. We are the lowest trade deficit with China since 2010.
Thank you,
We're at the
President Biden.
highest. You lost
Thank you,
almost
President Biden.
50,000.
Let's discuss an epidemic impacting millions of Americans that both of you have made a top priority in your first
I can
term.
call it. He's going to
The
call back to
opioid
him and the
crisis.
trade
And
with
for
China.
both of you,
He's
what
definitely.
is a priority in your first term? The
Me or him?
opioid crisis. And for
Opioid.
both-
Okay, now go ahead.
I was going to say, guaranteed. He's going to ask Trump a question about the opioid crisis, and he's going to be like, we shouldn't be trading with China. China should be trading with us. We should be controlling who makes the money out of China. Like I feel so, after watching this, I feel so confident that he's going to ignore this question and talk about the fact that Biden said we should trade with China.
We had a great partnership with Winnie the Pooh.
You know, Winnie the Pooh, 1,000 acre woods. How do you get all those acres? Low taxes. So many acres, more acres.
Who gave him all those acreage? Me.
More
Donald
acres than anyone.
EJT.
Christopher Robin, he was just a front man. We gave
Greatest
him
real
those
estate
acres.
agent in the world.
We gave him those acres were ours. We couldn't get them back. We can get it back. I'll say Christopher Robin. No more trade. No more trade. No more ticker. No more honeypots.
The number of overdose deaths in this country has gone up. Under your term,
Imagine
it went
being
up.
this
Under
moderator.
your term, it has gone up. Former President Trump, despite the efforts that both of you have made, more than 100,000 Americans are dying from overdoses every year, primarily from fentanyl and other opioids.
He said
What do
fentanyl.
you do
Maybe
to
he
help
won't talk about
Americans
China.
Right now, in the throes
Oh,
of
please.
addiction, who are struggling to get
He
the
talks about
treatment they need.
Mexicans for the child care
Finish
credit.
up. We now have the largest deficit in the history of our country under this guy. We have the largest deficit with China. He
don't
gets
say
paid from
that.
China. He's a Manchurian candidate. He gets money from China.
I can see
We
into the
have- I think
future.
he's afraid to deal with them or something. But do you notice he never took out my tariffs because we bring in so much money with the tariffs that I imposed on China. He never took them away. He can't because it's too much money. It's tremendous. And we saved our steel industries, and there was more to come. But he
Industries.
hasn't done that. But he hasn't cut the tariffs because
I was like
Okay,
70% right.
first off, can we ask? Tell me that was one of us swallowing and not Joe or Trump.
Was that someone swallowing? It's a little quiet for me. I'm ready for
I
the
heard
big
some-
replay for a
I heard
swallow.
someone go. Okay, let me
It'd have to be Trump because Biden's muted, yeah?
Well, see, I thought he took like a big swallow in front of the mic or something, but I don't know.
my tariffs because we bring in so much money with the tariffs that I imposed on China. He never took them away. He can't because it's too much money. It's tremendous.
I heard that.
Yeah, you heard it. It was one of them.
Was it a delay on Biden? I watched his throat swallow, but I didn't hear anything, but then I heard it. Watch, he did swallow.
He did swallow, but I didn't hear nothing.
Let's crank it up.
Imposed on China. He never took them away. He can't because it's
So
too
there's the
much
swallow.
money. It's tremendous. And we saved our
There
steel
it was,
industries, and there was
It
more
was
to
Joe.
come, but he hasn't done
It's
that.
the one on his. It's the one on his chest.
Why isn't he muted? He's supposed to be muted.
I would laugh my
I think as long as you're
ass
not talking, they just leave it alone.
I was about to say I'd laugh my ass off if the only one that's muted is actually Trump.
I'm
That would
waiting
be
for
funny.
I'm waiting for the he shit himself Republican memes tomorrow.
True. Well,
tariffs because he can't because it's too much money. But he's got the largest deficit in the history of our country, and he's got the worst situation with China. China's going to own us if you keep allowing them to do what they're doing to us
Yep,
as a
okay.
country.
Wow,
They
yeah.
are killing us as a country, Joe, and you can't let that happen. You're destroying our country.
So, President Trump, you have 67 seconds left. The question was,
Huh?
what are you going to
Oh.
do to help Americans in the throes of addiction right
Yeah.
now who are struggling to get the treatment they need?
We're gonna close the
We were
border.
doing very well at addiction until the COVID
Dude,
came along.
dude,
We
I
had
think you're right,
2.5,
actually.
almost 3
I
years.
fucking think
of,
you're
like,
right.
Nobody's ever had before. Any country in every way.
Then the border.
And then we had to get tough, and it was the drugs pouring across the border.
God dang. God dang.
Started to increase. We got great equipment. We bought the certain dog that's the most incredible thing that you've ever seen. The
It's the best dog.
What are we talking? What?
And we were getting very low numbers, very, very low numbers. Then he came along. The numbers, have you seen the
Think about
numbers
they
now?
bought worse
It's
dogs.
not
Their
only
dogs
the
suck.
18
Put the
million
dog
people that I
down.
believe is even low because the gotaways, they don't even talk about gotaways. But the numbers of
They don't talk about the
amount of
people they
drugs
don't
and
find?
human trafficking in women coming across our border. The worst thing I've ever seen at numbers that nobody's ever seen under him because the border's so bad. But the number of drugs coming across our border now is the largest we've ever had by far.
President Trump, thank you.
You
President
really
Biden.
did, dude. Chase,
Fentanyl and
you
high-priced
you
cigarettes
giga
went
called it.
down.
Dude, we're freaking, like I said, we've got the predictions down, man. I was like, as soon as he mentioned drugs, I was like, it's the fentanyl border crisis.
I haven't even been here for the entire time. I've been here for like 20 minutes. And there hasn't been a single question that he didn't bring up the border.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy. Like, it's two
I told
versions
you- I
of
told you they
fucking
gave-
dementia on stage. You told. What did you told?
And I told you, man, they literally gave him like, here, every single point, say these two same things. This is our voting point. It's like border and fucking Joe sucks. That's his 2 points.
Mention the border every time and call him
China.
Brandon at least once.
Yeah, he called him fucking Brandon. That actually happened.
If he had had sunglasses ready.
And I wanted to make sure we use the machinery that can detect fentanyl. These big machines that roll over everything that comes across the border. And it
Machines,
costs
they're
a
not
lot of
cute.
money.
Dogs are
That
cute.
was part of this deal we put together. This bipartisan deal. More fentanyl machines, more be able to detect drugs, more numbers of agents, more numbers of all the people at the border.
You're not winning
And
anyone
when
here.
we had that deal done, he called his Republican colleagues, said, "Don't do it. It's going to hurt me politically." No, he never argued it's not a good bill. It's a really good bill. We need those machines. We need those machines. And we're coming down very hard in every country in Asia in terms of precursors for fentanyl. And Mexico is working with us to make sure they don't have the technology to be able to put it together. That's what we have to do. We need those machines.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump, and again, the question is about Americans in the throes of addiction right now, struggling to get the treatment they need.
Well, because this does pertain to it. He ended.
Yeah,
Iran
imagine
and
if you
Mexico.
cared
I
about.
did
Oh my
catch
god.
and release. I made a catch and release.
It's
in
literally,
Mexico,
imagine
not
if you
catch
cared
and
about
release.
Americans rather than
We
hated
had
brown
so
people.
many
And he's
things
like,
that we
no,
had
I
done,
won't do
hard
it.
negotiations with Mexico, and I got it all for nothing. It's just like when you have a hostage, we always pay $6 billion for a hostage. Every time we say it's a hostage. Now we have a hostage, a Wall Street Journal reporter. I think a good guy. And he's over there because Putin is laughing at this guy, probably asking for billions of dollars
What are you talking
for
about?
the reporter. I will have him out very quickly as soon as I take office. Before I take
I feel bad
office,
for the
I said,
addicts out there.
I literally.
Oh,
as
fucking,
soon
that's
as
the
I
thing. Like,
take
literally.
office, I will have that reporter out.
It's
He
literally,
had him out a long
they're
time
asking
ago.
him to care
Putin's
about
probably
white
asking
people,
for
like
billions and
Americans.
billions
And he's
of
like, no, no, no,
dollars
no,
because
no,
this
I
guy
hate
pays
black
every
people.
time.
I hate
We had two
brown
cases.
people.
We paid $6
No brown
billion
people
for
allowed.
5 people. I got 58 people out, and I paid essentially nothing.
Thank you, President Trump. Dana?
And he's
Let's
like,
turn to
let him
concerns
die.
voters
I'm not
have
paying for.
about
Like,
each
what?
of you.
What are we?
President Biden,
What are we talking
you will
about?
be 86 at the end of your second term.
Okay, Biden's old age. I gotta go blow my nose again. Sorry, y'all.
I got something for you to blow up. Yeah, it's like you just run into this so much with right wing people that are like psychos, like Trump, where it's like you don't care about like the people in this country. You just care about inhibiting the people in this country that you don't like.
Yeah.
Like, you're not trying to benefit anyone. You're just trying to like tear someone down. It's so weird to watch.
The problem is, or the saddest thing about it is, like we said before, they're not gonna lose any voters for this.
Yeah, like yeah. I was
Because
telling
the
them
whole
I
reason-
streamed Horizon Forbidden West yesterday, and I was like predicting stuff, and I was like, no one wins, Biden loses. And it really is. It's like, you know, because I think Biden can lose votes off of this from his hardcore stance on Israel. It's like, but Trump, I mean, there's nothing he's gonna say. There's no like debate performance that's gonna make someone swap from Trump to Biden at this point. You know.
No. And there isn't I do not believe there isn't a president in the last 20 years that would have sided with Palestine at this point.
No, for sure.
We want so badly to have a place in the Middle East, and that is Israel.
Mm.
We pay them billions of dollars every single year to make sure that they don't get carpet bombed to hell. Like their do you know what the defense system in Israel is?
The Iron Dome.
The Iron Dome. Like it's an incredible piece of missile detection, but we're the ones that supply it. And the reason why is because we want a foothold in the Middle East. That is our foothold. Like Biden, Trump, Obama, GW, Clinton.
G-dubs.
Like none of them would have sided with Palestine. Not a single one of them.
Okay, so what's going to happen to 86-year-old Joe Biden?
He's 81 right now.
Let's see. I don't know what his answer is going to be. I mean, he'll probably redirect towards Trump because in the first go around and his like initial run, his big thing was that he was like, I might not run again. Like that was his big thing. He was like, you know what? That's in the future, dude. I might not fucking run. And now he's like, I'm going to fucking run. I feel like now he's going to be like, you don't have to, you didn't take a 45-year-old to understand that Trump is a threat to this establishment. And, you know, maybe he'll mention incumbency, but I doubt it. Like,
I mean, he'll be 86 at the end of, if he wins this election, he'll be 86 at the end of his term.
Yeah, it's like, he's not doing good now. Much less 4 years from now and whatever else comes, you know?
Well, he's not doing well. Trump definitely isn't.
There's just, I mean, like, Trump is just like I said, there's two sides of the same coin, but Trump is like talking. Like Biden's slow and like he's making the like politician plays, but like even in his voice, you can't help but notice how old he is.
Yes, he is. He's talking very slowly.
Yeah, like I've got my stream volume maxed out, and Chase has the YouTube volume maxed out, and I've got my Discord stream volume maxed out, and you can still barely hear this motherfucker.
Yeah.
How do you address concerns about your capability to handle the toughest job in the world well into your 80s?
Well, first of all, I spent half my career being criticized being the youngest person in politics. I was the second youngest person ever elected to the United States Senate, and now I'm the oldest. This guy's 3 years younger and a lot less competent. I think just look at the record.
Wow.
Look what I've done. Look how I've turned around the horrible situation he left me. As I said, 50 million new jobs, 800,000 manufacturing jobs, more investment in America, over billions of dollars in private investment in enterprises that we are growing. By the way, we brought an awful lot of people. Well, the whole idea of computer chips. We used to have 40% of the market.
This is the undersung part of his administration.
We lost it because he was sending people to find the cheapest jobs overseas and to bring home a product. So I went to South Korea. I convinced Samsung to invest billions of dollars here in the United States. And guess what? Those fabs, they call them, to build these chips, those fabs pay over $100,000. You don't need a college degree for them. And there's billions, about $40 billion already being invested and being built right now in the United States, creating significant jobs for Americans from all over the world.
President Biden, you have 40 seconds left. Would you like to add anything?
Yeah, I would. The idea that somehow we are this failing country. I never heard a president talk like this before. We're the envy of the world. Name me a single major country president who wouldn't trade places with the United States of America for all our problems and all our opportunities. We're the most progressive country in the world in getting things done. We're the strongest country in the world. We're a country in the world who keeps our word.
Okay. I'm going to throw a prediction out there that if it happens, I'll walk away.
Okay.
Trump, what are the odds he mentions Malay?
Javier Malay?
Yeah.
That would be stunning. I don't think he knows who that is. I'm going to be real.
You don't? Okay.
I think he's going to be like, if someone brought up Javier Malay, he'd be like, I don't know him. He sounds like a great guy.
Yeah.
Everybody trusts us.
I do think Biden is kind of smoking this question, though.
Those who he coddles up to, from Kim Jong-un, who he sends love letters to, and Putin, etc., they don't want to screw around with us.
Thank you. Former President Trump, to follow up, you would be 82
Cunty
at
Trump,
the end of
would
your
you
second term.
like to answer
What
this
do you say to voters who have concerns about your capabilities to serve?
Well, I took 2 tests, cognitive
I always
tests.
do.
He's talking about his cognitive test.
Yeah, that camera swap and him saying cognitive test, I don't know what it did. I had a stroke.
I can't believe
I
he's
missed it. You want to back up? I missed it.
So he may actually set off my fucking balance. But holy shit!
Voters who have concerns about your capabilities to serve.
Well, I took 2 tests, cognitive tests. I aced them. both of them, as you know.
I aced the cognitive test.
Joe finds that so
A real
funny.
easy one. Like go through the first 5 questions.
Joe's like,
couldn't do
you
it.
didn't pass.
But
I
took
got
the
a B. You
cognitive
didn't get
test,
an
I
A.
took 50 yards.
What's happening?
I think I'm in very good shape. I feel that I'm as in good a shape as I was 25, 30 years ago. Actually, I'm probably a little bit lighter.
Oh my
But
god.
I'm in as good a shape as I was years ago. I feel very good. I feel the same. But I was willing to take a cognitive test. And you know what? If I didn't do well, I aced him. Dr. Ronnie Jackson, who's a great guy. When he was
Classic
starting out,
Ronnie.
and then I took
We
a
love
very
Ronnie.
similar one. And one of them said they'd never seen anybody ace him.
Thank you.
Oh my
President
god.
Biden?
Someone said
You
we
can
Yeah,
see
no.
he is 6'5" and only 223 pounds, or 235 pounds.
Oh my god. He called him
We
fat.
6'4", 200.
That was to
Well, anyway, that's
Trump
even-
line about
really,
how tall he
just
was
take
to
a look at
how
what he says
much he
is,
weighed.
Oh.
look at what he is.
He said he was
Look,
6'5",
I'll be happy to
225
tell you,
pounds.
I got my handicap, which when I was vice president, down to a 6.
Wait.
And but by the way, I told you before, I'm happy to play golf if you carry your own bag. Think you can do it?
That's the biggest lie. He's a 6 handicap of all.
I was an 8 handicap.
Yeah.
8.
What's
But
happening?
I had,
They're talking golf. What the fuck is happening?
Okay, let's
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 not
not
act like children.
President Trump, we're going
Do you
to
know how
Let's
many
not act
rounds?
like
21 rounds.
to a specific concern that voters have about you. Will you pledge tonight that once all legal challenges have been exhausted, that you will accept the results of this election, regardless of who wins, and you will say right now that political violence in any form is unacceptable?
Well, I shouldn't have to say that, but of course I believe that. It's totally unacceptable. And if you would see my statements that I
Look
made
at
on
him.
Twitter at the time, and also my statement that I made in the Rose Garden, you would say it's one of the strongest statements you've ever seen. In addition
It's
to
so
the speech
strong.
I made
This
in
is-
front of, I believe, the largest crowd I've ever spoken to, and I will tell you,
Hey, Amy.
nobody ever talks about that. They talk about a relatively small number of people
Good,
that
they were
went
debating
to
who
the
was better at
Capitol,
golf.
and in many cases were ushered in by the police. And as Nancy Pelosi said, it was her responsibility, not mine. She said that loud and
Literally the
clear.
commander in
But the
chief,
answer
dog.
is, if the election is fair, free, and I want that more than anybody. And I'll tell you something. I wish he was a great president, because I wouldn't be here right now. I'd be at one of my many places enjoying myself. I wouldn't be under indictment because I wouldn't have been his political appointment.
Oh, baby, you
opponent.
would be. I'm
Because he
sorry, but
indicted
you would
me.
be.
Because I was
He
his
indicted
opponent.
me. He said the
I
line.
wish he was a great president. I would rather have that. I wouldn't be here. I don't mind being here. But the only reason I'm here is he's so bad as a president that I'm going to make America great again. We're going to make America great again. We're
He
a
said the
failing
thing.
nation right now. We're a seriously failing nation. And we're a failing nation because of him. His policies are so bad. His military policies are insane. They're insane. These are wars that will never end with him. He will drive us into World War III, and we're closer to World War III
he did bring a plan forward
than
to-
anybody can imagine.
to
we
try
are
and-
very, very close
Wait,
to World War III.
Closer to
and
World
he's
War III than
driving
ever,
us
bro.
there.
You
And
assassinated
Kim
an
Jong-un,
Iranian general.
President Xi of China, Kim Jong-un of North Korea, all of these, Putin, they don't respect him. They don't fear him. They have nothing going with this gentleman, and he's going to drive us into World War III.
Also,
Not a
Trump
World
had
War III.
one of the things
You
for
follow and win and let Putin say, do what you want, NATO.
real.
Just do what you want. There's a thing called Article 5. An attack on one is an attack on all, and required response. The idea. I can't think of a single major leader in the world who wouldn't trade places with the job I've done and what they've done. Because we are a powerful nation. We have wonderful people. It's because of the people, not me. It's because of the American people. They're capable of anything, and they step up when they're needed. And right now, we're needed. We're needed to protect the world because our own safety is at stake. And again, you want to have a war, just let Putin go ahead and take Kyiv, make sure they move on, see what happens in Poland, Hungary, and other places along that border. Then you have a war.
President Trump, as a
Trump
combat
also
chief
drafted,
for a
like,
federal
had plans drafted by a general to
question
invade
was,
Iran.
Will you accept the
That was
results
part of the. That was part of the documents case that he's facing, like the raid on Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah.
That was part of the fact. Is like so, like, just to be clear, it was not confirmed Iran, but it was a Middle Eastern country that's like a major enemy of ours. So like pretty much everybody was like, they're talking about Iran. Like, not only has he not started World War III, Like this was in like the last days of his presidency after he lost the election too, because he was planning on pulling something like that. I guess he's just hoping people don't know that.
This election, regardless of who wins.
Just to finish what he said, if I might, Russia. They took a lot of land from Bush.
Russia.
They took a lot of land from Obama and Biden. They took no land, nothing from Trump. Nothing. He knew
Because
not
you
to do
gave
it.
it to him.
Not going to play games with me. He knew that. I got along with him very well, but he knew not to play games. He took nothing from me. But now he's going to take the whole thing from this man right here. That's a war that should have never started. It would have never started ever with me. And he's going to take Ukraine. And, you know, you asked me a question before, would you do this? He's got us in such a bad position right now with Ukraine and Russia, because Ukraine's not winning that war. He said, I will never settle until such time. They're running out of people. They're running out of soldiers. They've lost so many people. It's so sad. They've lost so many people, and they've lost those gorgeous cities with the golden domes that are 1,000 years old, all because of him and stupid decisions. Russia would have never attacked if I were
President Trump,
president.
the question was, will you accept the results of the election, regardless of who wins? Yes or no, please.
If it's a fair and legal and good election,
Oh
absolutely.
my
I
God.
would have much rather accepted these, but the fraud and everything else was ridiculous. And if you want, we'll have a news conference on it in a week, or we'll have another one of these in a week. But I will absolutely, there's nothing I'd rather do. It would be much easier for me to do that than I'm running again. I wasn't really going
He
to
lost
run
50 plus
until
cases
I saw
on
the
this.
horrible job he did. He's destroying our country. I would be
Well,
very
I think
happy
they
to
were
do
pretty
something
much
else. And
like the whole thing is like, look, we found tiny little bits in every little area that was usually user error, but none of it ever amounted enough to change anything in any, like even in a district. So that's my whole thing. I was like, there's going to be user error in any election that has every American damn near participating.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, you could sit there and be like, oh, you know, there were 4 votes that were cast wrong. But I mean, he lost almost all of those cases, and the ones that he did win were on like procedural stuff. Like they were like in the systems where it's like, oh, you know, you should have done this differently. Like it's not even, he didn't even win cases on the fact that there was fraud. He won cases on the fact that it's like, y'all need to perform these elections differently.
Well, I want to say that they found like the largest voting fraud was like a couple of thousand, but the deficit was in like the 20 to 30,000 range. They're like, yeah, we found a place that did this inappropriately or incorrectly. They're like, but it wouldn't have changed anything anyway.
Yeah, I mean, like that's the thing is that because like almost all of them were like debunked. Like he lost so many of those cases.
Yeah.
90% or more of those cases he lost, and most of it was like, y'all need to do this differently, and you know, because y'all lost these thousands of votes. So it's like, you know, it's like, I mean, after everything was counted, Biden actually kind of stomped him in the last one. And it's like, if you just sit there as widespread, it's just not. He's just giving himself enough wiggle room
And
to
again, no
freak
indictments,
out.
no political opponent stuff, because it's the only way he thinks he can win. But unfortunately, it's driven up my numbers and driven them up to a very high level because the people understand it.
Let's see what your numbers are when this election is over. Let's see. You're a whiner. When you lost the first time, you continued, you appealed and appealed to courts all across the country. Not one single court in America said any of your claims had any merit, state or local, none. But you continue to provoke this lie about somehow there's all this misrepresentation, all this stealing. There is no evidence of that at all. And I tell you what, I doubt whether you'll accept it because you're such a whiner. The idea if you lose again, you accepting anything, you can't stand the loss. Something snapped in you when you lost the last time.
He's
We'll
real
be
for
right
that.
back with more from the CNN presidential debate, live from Georgia.
The thrill of a life.
Imagine being in Georgia. Couldn't be me.
Last statements
I
here.
think I asked direct questions. I don't know that they're tough questions.
View President closing statements as predetermined by a coin toss. We're going to begin with you, President Biden. You have 2 minutes.
We've made significant progress from the debacle that was left by President Trump in his last term. We find ourselves in a situation where, number one, we have to make sure that we have a fair tax system. I ask anyone out there in the audience, or anyone out watching this debate, do you think the tax system is fair? The fact is that I said nobody even making under $400,000 had a single penny increase in their taxes, and will not. And if I'm reelected, that'll be the case again. But this guy has increased your taxes because of the deficit. Number one, he's increased inflation because of the debacle he left after the way he handled the pandemic. And he finds himself in a position where he now wants to tax you more by putting a 10% tariff on everything that comes into the United States of America. What I did, when, for example, he wants to get away with, get rid of the ability of Medicare for us to be able to negotiate drug prices with the big pharma companies. Well, guess what? We got it down to $35 for insulin instead of $400. No more than $2,000 for every senior, no matter how much prescription they need. You know what that did? That reduced the federal debt by $160 billion over 10 years because the government doesn't have to pay the exorbitant prices. I'm going to make that available to every senior all along. It's happening now, and everybody in America. He wants to get rid of that. I'm going to make sure that we have child care. We're going to significantly increase the credits that people have for child care. I'm going to make sure we do something about what we're doing on lead pipes and all the things that are causing health problems for people across the country. We're going to continue to fight to bring down inflation and give people a break.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump, you now have 2 minutes for your closing statement.
Like so many politicians, this man is just a complainer. He said, we want to do this, we want to do that, we want to get rid of this tax, that tax. But he doesn't do anything. All he does is make our country unsafe by allowing millions and millions of people to pour in. Our military doesn't respect him. We look like fools in Afghanistan. We didn't stop Israel. It was such a horrible thing that would have never happened. It should have never happened. Iran was broke. Anybody that did business with Iran, including China, they couldn't do business with the United States. They all passed. Iran was broke. They had no money for Hamas or Hezbollah, for terror, no money whatsoever. Again, Ukraine should have never happened. He talks about all this stuff, but he didn't do it. For 3.5 years, we're living in hell. We have the Palestinians and we have everybody else rioting all over the place. You talk about Charlottesville. This is 100 times Charlottesville, 1,000 times. The whole country is exploding because of you, because they don't respect you, and they have to respect their president, and they don't respect you throughout the world. What we did was incredible. We rebuilt the military. We got the largest tax cut in history, the largest regulation cut in history. The reason he's got jobs is because I cut the regulations that gave jobs, but he's putting a lot of those regulations back on. All of the things that we've done, nobody's never seen anything like. Even from a medical standpoint, right to try, where we can try space-age materials instead of going to Asia or going to Europe and trying to get when you're terminally ill. Now you can go and you can get something. You sign a document. They've been trying to get it for 42 years. But you know what we did for the military was incredible. Choice for our soldiers, where our soldiers, instead of waiting for 3 months to see a doctor, can go out and get themselves fixed up and readied up and take care of themselves, and they're living. And that's why I had the highest approval rating in the history of the VA. So all of these things, we're in a failing nation. It's not going to be failing anymore. We're going to make it great again.
Thank you, former President Trump.
You
President
closed out
Biden,
with VA
Stay
stuff?
with us because we have full analysis.
Stay
of
with
this
us. Don't go
debate.
into the light.
Anderson Cooper and Aaron Burnett starts now on CNN.
Oh. America decides, huh? America blushes.
When's the next one of these, Jules?
That's the real question. I'd be surprised if they have another one.
I seriously doubt they're going to have another debate.
I don't know that either of them, I mean, Trump might, obviously.
Well,
but I don't know that
depending-
either of them really walks away from this feeling like they fucking did it.
Well, depending. So I don't know if you know, after the debate, I've already seen where like the news said that Joe Biden had a cold and that's why he sounded so old tonight.
Okay.
I was like, whatever. I was like, I think if depending on who is running their, campaign, both of them, I think, could see like better opportunities if they had another debate on where they would go based on the feedback here. Because like you definitely saw that in 2020, where their second debate was, way more well-rounded.
Yeah.
But obviously, I think Trump obviously dug himself a fucking huge hole in that first one. The second one was way more tame. I could see something like that happening with this one, where they kind of like try to get it together and hit the high points. Because that's what I'm thinking. I think maybe one more. I could see him doing one more.
I doubt they will, and the reason why is because one, I don't think Joe Biden's team will want him to do another because of the fact that the biggest issue you could say in Joe Biden's defeat is his age. He sounded super old. He talks slower. The only thing Trump's got on him is his loud, booming voice, and that's about it. But Trump's team could run with Trump is younger. He's got more energy. Like, they do another debate, the only thing Trump will talk about is Biden's age. Sleepy Joe. That's all they'll do.
That is true. Like, as far as objective, like, removing my own opinions about Joe Biden out of this, like, I feel like Joe Biden won this, but only for people who are, like, involved in politics. Because, like, I don't think, like, Trump lost anybody with this one.
No.
No.
And
it's just, all it would take for anyone to leave Biden is just the continued support of Israel. Like, everyone loses. Well, like, no one wins. Joe Biden loses. Still feels like the right answer. Because it's like, there's nothing here. Like, they asked questions. Trump didn't answer any of them. And no Trump voter is going to be like, oh, you know what? That motherfucker didn't answer any questions, man. This dude sucks. And they just leave Trump. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
He's still going to represent their feelings on, like, everything.
I know you and I have talked about like I think what sways the election or what's going to make people vote or whatever. Trump still, like I said, I think 2016 he had kind of like that, wow factor, that luster where he's just a different dude and he's just bodying politicians. And everyone's like, dude, we fucking hate politicians, and that's why he won, because kind of Hillary was like a walking mat for that dude. And then Biden, you're like, all right, Trump's he's been there for 4 years. He pops off a lot. He's done some really dumb shit. He said a bunch of dumb shit. We like a couple things, but whatever. And then Joe Biden's just kind of like, just a collected old guy who's like, he's like, I'm liberal, but, I'm not far left. And that alone was enough to have him beat Trump. Because I think people were like, damn, we just want someone who's not, on any psychotic polar end of things, which is kind of why I was really hoping this year, Trump didn't even run. Really,
dude, you posted up Nikki Haley against Joe Biden in this debate, dude. It would have been like the debate would have ended the race would have ended tonight. Ron DeSantis is a fucking freak, so he doesn't count. But like hardly. Like, mostly anybody else. If you posted anybody else, then, like, this would have been it for Joe Biden. Because he's just fucking kind of slow.
Yeah,
I will say this in response to that. If Trump didn't run, Biden wouldn't have. I legit think that the only reason why they kept Biden, one, is because it's harder for a sitting president to not win.
Well,
and two, if they probably thought Biden beat Trump last time, Biden will beat Trump again, and it would have been a complete slide.
Well,
Biden could easily beat Trump if it wasn't for November 7th.
Well, I know why.
October 7th, just to be clear?
October 7th, sorry.
Okay.
I know why they ran Biden, though. They don't have anybody else to run.
Well, like, they could have ran someone.
Yeah,
like, whether Pete Buttigieg,
sure.
Whatever.
They could have run someone.
Senator Buttigieg.
Well, like, I know there's memes about him, like, with, like, Reddit and shit like that. But you know what I mean? Like, that's definitely not... in any way comparable to like, like I don't know, because I don't know how I feel about that. I feel like I kind of need to think about that for a bit. The idea that if Trump hadn't ran, Biden wouldn't have ran. Not like tonight. Like I would have to think about that like for a while.
I'm talking about the election in general.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't know. I would have to think about that before I felt one way or another, I think.
I'm of the current opinion that if that was Ron DeSantis, he would win in a landslide.
Really?
Yeah. So here's the reason why I don't think Nikki would win. She would. I mean, she would probably like.
You don't think Nikki would win, but you think Ron DeSantis would win.
I know you would have a bunch of butthurt MAGA Republicans who wouldn't vote for her.
Oh yeah, absolutely not. There's no way the Republican Party is going to run a female. And I do say female.
No, see, the thing is, I think if Trump had not been in the race at all, she would have cleaned house.
I actually think so too.
I think had he not been in, well, first off, top to bottom, she's the best debater out of everyone, both parties.
Well, like, like I don't want to pull a card or anything, but I reacted to all of them but the last one because they made it impossible to react to on stream.
Yeah.
I do think that Nikki Haley cleaned up. And she cleaned up poll-wise too. Or like primary-wise too, as far as the actual candidates go. I think Ron DeSantis won the first state, and then from there on it was Nikki Haley or Nikki Haley adjusted. Yeah. And there was a lot of money. That's definitely informing my opinion too, is that there was a lot of money behind Nikki Haley. Ron DeSantis had a lot too, but Nikki Haley was such a fucking dark horse, it felt like she was sweeping. But as soon as her numbers and Ron DeSantis' numbers got compared to Trump's, it was just kind of like not even worth talking about anymore.
Yeah.
Does that make sense, Kyle?
I see what you're saying, and that fact that you just brought up, I will repeat what I just said. They are not going to allow any woman to run for the Republican Party. Not for a presidential, not for the primary. They're not.
I agree with you intuitively, but I don't have any money. Like, I don't have any content behind that.
What you just said. Wanda, was it her that you said was great at debating?
Nikki Haley.
Nikki Haley, great at debating. Fantastic. I don't give a fuck if she's the golden goose. Like I said previously, Trump could get off the podium and take a shit right there on the CNN logo. He would not lose a single vote. It doesn't matter how well Nikki Haley can debate. She's a woman. The Republican Party will not back her. They will not back her.
We were speaking hypothetically, though, right? Like, because you were saying Joe Biden wouldn't have ran without Trump. So we were talking about, like, if Trump wasn't involved, Nikki Haley would be the winner. Right?
Yes.
Chase?
Yes, I said.
Yeah, so no Biden, no Trump, Nikki Haley at the top.
I'm done with politics. I'm out. You're going to have to go with somebody else. And the MAGA Republicans had to vote for someone else. I think Nikki Haley would have cleaned house.
So what do you think about that, Kyle?
I don't think she would have cleaned house.
So essentially you think the Trump people would have consolidated behind Ron DeSantis?
I do not think that they would have voted for any female, any woman to run. They just wouldn't have. I don't think they would have accepted anyone. The MAGA Republicans wouldn't have accepted anyone besides Trump. And the polls showed it. It doesn't matter how well they could run, how well they could debate. Not even the politics. Because Trump's politics are absolute shit. Plain and simple.
Well, I will agree that all of the Trump stuff is crazy vibes based. Oh, Kevin was here. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought Dylan was here and muted. Dylan, you haven't said anything this whole time. You don't have to, but like, I just thought, like, if you had something to say, you could respond to it. We could have fun with it.
I mean, I think I've made my political views fairly clear in that I don't like either party.
Oh, okay. I was like, you haven't. I was sitting there. I was like, you haven't said anything. I was like, okay, but yeah, you have your inclinations. Yeah, you don't have to participate. What's up, Kevin?
I've been listening. I don't keep up with politics as much as y'all do. So
yeah, sure. Yeah, I'm not trying to twist anybody's arm. Where were we at? We were talking about Republicans voting for women. Oh no, Trump. If Trump ran anyway, and then the party was like randomly like we'll pick and Trump was randomly like, you know, I'm gonna run third party, then like that would definitely they would line up behind Trump. The base would, I think.
Yes.
And that's what Trump would have done, is he would have won third party.
He would have won third party.
No, he would have won.
No,
You
I was stunned for a second. I was like, really?
You have to excuse my. I have a thing. I can't say.
No, yeah. I was just
actually. I think it was the audio more than anything. Yeah, it was just hard to hear you.
Yeah, I was fucking hype. I was like the hottest take, the searing hot take.
No, he would have won third party,
and
it would have split the vote.
Yeah. And I mean, I think that's why he ran, or like why he felt he could run.
I think the Republican Party realized that we have to go with Trump, no matter what.
How cool would it be if we did a Nikki Haley versus Trump versus Biden versus Bernie race?
Dude, I've almost said something about that. People are talking about it on Twitter right now, but I've almost said something about that for like a month at least, where it's like all we need is Bernie to just be like, fuck it, I'm running for 2024. And like people would be like
2044.
2024. And, like people like
no, 2044.
2044. I will be 120 years old. Yeah, I can't. But yeah, like if he just woke up one day and he was like, you know what? What if I just provided a meaningful alternative to what was going on right now?
Yeah.
Like that would be earth shattering. And like not even in like a virtue signally way. It would be like earth shattering in like a wait a second. If everybody right now squares up behind this fucking dude, we might have a hope for it.
Yeah.
At least enough hope for it to just get Joe Biden to just fucking drop out.
Yeah, the problem is they'd be too afraid of exactly what the Republicans would have been afraid of if Trump went third party. It would split the vote.
Well, that's the thing. If like it got the DNC blessing, you know what I mean?
Yeah, if the DNC would ever fucking do that.
Well, no, I just mean, well, that's the thing is that I'm thinking the reverse of that is that Bernie wouldn't do that unless the DNC blessed it.
Yeah.
Like that's the main drawback people talk about with Bernie is like he's not going to do it if it goes against the party's interest.
No.
What a good way to wrap it up. There is no hope. You must vote for whichever of the alien corpses you find you vibe with the most.
Hell yeah, no hope.
You never seen a ghoul before with smooth skin?
You're saying it wrong. You never seen a ghoul before, smooth skin? Their voice is all raspy because their vocal cords are kind of
What
exposed.
if we all voted for Kendrick?
Kendrick Lamar.
Big critical Kendrick support.
Can we get Kendrick and Drake for the next debate?
Jesus Christ.
Oh, that would be so good.
It wouldn't even be a debate, it'd just be a murder.
Kendrick would be like, I fucking
An
hate the way that
actual
you talk.
murder.
I hate the way that you walk. I hate the way you dress. And Drake would be like, you don't fucking mean that.
Drake, the kind of guy to be crying on the debate stand.
We saw one motherfucker fall asleep for a second.
Saw a fucking stupid ass video.
Biden
It was
was-
supposed to be Drake and his team. And the team come out and was like, okay, Drake, so Kendrick Lamar came out and said that you were messing around with minors. That you lied about not doing it. We're gonna have to come up with something. He's like, I don't know why he would say that. I would never lie. He's
I'm
like,
not here telling the truth.
okay, it's like, okay, Drake. It's like, I need you to listen to me. We need to talk about the children. He's like, but I never lied. He's like, please.
Listen. Listen, please.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Twitter fucking seethed.
We just need a big titty weather girl for president. Fuck yeah.
We just need literally a not dead body. Like we
Big
have plenty of
titty
dead bodies
weather girl.
around. There's more dead people than alive people.
That is true.
So it's like, dead people, we have those in abundance. We need the minority vote, bro. Bring someone who's alive to the presidential debate.
Mm-hmm.
I think we can also say though, I think overall, good job for the debate crew actually.
I know the moderators did a good job with it.
You know what? Real shit.
I can't believe Trump actually agreed to a muted mic. I feel like when they probably brought that up to him, he thought that Joe's mic would be muted.
No, I actually think he thought he was going to go in there and Joe was going to be a husk of a human. He could just say whatever the hell he wanted, which is why he acted the way he acted. And then Joe actually said some coherent shit. So the debate ended kind of in a whatever. It's like Joe said stuff, you said stuff. Like Josh said, nobody lost anything here.
Yeah.
Well, I thought no one won anything, but
Yeah.
Joe Biden could lose.
Yeah.
Joe could always lose. It's
Well, I just
always
mean-
the risk of
He meant the debate.
yeah.
Like he lose voters
Yeah.
from the debate.
And that's the thing is that I feel like Joe Biden actually won the debate if people are paying attention and cogent.
Oh yeah, he absolutely won the debate.
But it's like the people who would vote for him are hinging on one issue, which is ending the continuous death against the Palestinian people. That's literally all that. And that's the thing is that like I'm so anti Joe Biden right now, right? But if he stopped it today, tomorrow, whatever, if he stopped it at any point, I would have a reason to vote for him because Trump wouldn't. And he said that tonight.
Yeah.
He said tonight, like Biden was like, we have a deal. Hamas needs to agree to it, which they fucking have. But Trump is like, I wouldn't hold him back. I'd tell him to finish the job, kill all Hamas. And like, that is literally code for Palestinians. Like, not being left wing about it. Like, that's all it is. It's Trump is like, finish the job. It doesn't matter how many civilians you kill. Like, just fucking kill them. You're like, you have an enemy, kill whoever you have to kill to get the enemy because they're not Americans. It's like, when compared against that, like, if at any point Joe Biden was like, we'll stop these attacks on Palestinians, it would be more acceptable to vote for him because the person he's running against is a Project 2025 fucking anti-Palestinian
Project
Republican.
2025.
What do you mean?
Maybe not heard about it.
Yeah, I've heard about it.
I have not. I would like to know this.
I can send you the document. It's fucking huge. But it's
No,
basically...
I don't want to read. Just give me the TLDR.
It's like anti-trans, anti-porn, no abortions whatsoever. It's like it's the same kind of following the Supreme Court's decision where they overturned Roe v. Wade, which like I'm not against overturning Roe v. Wade necessarily. It's that they're like, we're going to refute this Supreme Court decision on this basis, which opens the door to overturning gay marriage and overturning interracial marriage. It's just this super ramping Republican like think tank that Trump has expressed support of, essentially. Is that accurate, Chase?
I mean, I guess the extensions are like definitely reaches. Now I get the whole opening the door to, but like that's just conjecture.
It's not though, right? Like we've already had state lawmakers talk about banning interracial marriage.
I'm saying that
Much
there are
less overturning
potentially-
like gay marriage,
I would imagine that the amount of people or state lawmakers, quote unquote, that are saying that I could count on one hand.
Well, that's the thing is that the ones that are talking about it are the ones that don't have anything to worry about necessarily. Does that make sense?
You mean like the states that are? I'm saying if somebody came forward and said we're going to ban interracial marriage, there isn't a single state in the USA that would allow that to happen.
I honestly don't know if that's necessarily the case.
That is definitely the case.
Like, I feel like they'd be willing to break it down to like local government.
No, I think it would. That is definitely not the case.
Well, like you look at like the abortion, the abortion amendment,
the
that, like,
population
decision that
of
was in
black
like
people
Arizona or something.
is so like dispersed around the country, and like I said, I legit think to the point, and I stand by this wholeheartedly. Racism is like for the younger generation is like, how do you put it? Uncool. It's that it's so dead.
Put it some other way, yeah.
Yeah. I was like, it's just not.
It's
It's not.
uncool to be
It's not embedded in their brain like it was for the older ones. Like I said, I don't think any of that's ever going to happen. I think it's all bullshit. I think the vast majority of conservatives also don't care if you're gay at all.
Oh, I definitely think they do.
No, I think old heads do. I think obviously, like I said, evangelicals, we don't agree with the lifestyle, but we're not going to tell you're going to be arrested or you can't do whatever. The big
Like,
thing is,
I'm not
from
hating
the
right
majority
now,
of what
but
is-
that's definitely what we did for the first like 300 years of this country, right?
I am saying that because that's like literally the long founded things. I'm saying at this point in time, the climate of it all is we don't mind that you're gay. You can be gay. It's like the 8 miles of other shit that they don't care about,
Such as
like targeted literature, things of that nature.
targeted literature.
Yeah.
Like what?
Like I said, I'm not going to break down everything. They like geared towards young minds. Let's put it that way.
Well, that's the thing. Like that's what we're talking about, though, right? Is it's like, you know, there's plenty of literature that's targeted towards heterosexual young minds, right?
Well, is it though? Is it saying, hey, you're heterosexual and that's cool or that's fine? I don't want sexuality, heterosexual or homosexual at all, presented in school. Period. Outside the scientific nature of it.
So, like Lord of the Rings, you don't need that because it's like
Lord of
men and
the
women
Rings.
kissing, falling in love, that sort of thing.
I think it should have an H tag on it then.
The Lord of the Rings should have an age tag on it.
I think anything
Just for
should
the
have an H tag
romantic
on it with
aspects of it.
sexual. Romantic aspects is not a big deal. I'm just saying.
So if it's
all
two
right,
gay people kissing,
all right, no,
it's cool.
all right, no. Let's put it this way then. How about this? All right, I mean, if it's got gay people kissing in it, and it's not like some type of graphic sexual connotation, I don't care. But the thing is, if it's a thing with kissing in it, let's say just kissing in general, I think, all right, what age limit are we talking about? Physical interactions outside of a kid loving their mom or dad.
13.
13 for kissing.
In
I mean,
literature, or
you're not
how
getting
about this?
puberty
How about
pills in it. It's
this?
not something
Hang
you're
on.
thinking about.
How about this?
It is. It is.
I was a
How about-
chronic masturbator through kindergarten.
Oh,
Don't-
okay. Fucking.
Don't even fucking talk to me about that. I was beating it off during nap time.
But you didn't know what actually was going on.
I absolutely
you weren't old
did.
enough to.
I absolutely did. I fantasized about women. I don't know why, and I don't want to think about it.
You're definitely attracted to women younger than fucking 13.
But the truth of the matter is, I understood it. I understood that, oh, I like women. I fantasized about older women, and I did it. Miss Michael
You threw
put
that,
me
you threw that, you threw that in there for fun, didn't you?
Miss Michael.
They just happened to
put
be
me
older
in
women.
front of her desk
Had good
to
pensions.
stop me, and it didn't.
Typically in a pool setting.
Like, I was not allowed to sleep on top of the tables.
Are we talking sleeping on top of tables?
During nap
Well,
time,
once again-
if you wash the tables, you got to sleep on top of them.
Once again, like I said, this is all like crossing into like government level things, education level things. So it's just really hard to like just have a concrete one point. This is the way it should be. Because like I
Well, no,
said,
they
my whole-
definitely need like sexual education before 13.
So how
I
young
don't-
do you think it should be then?
Well, like, well, that's the
you
thing.
gotta
se-
you gotta
sex-
define sexual education.
any like most. Like you need to at least know which parts of you shouldn't be touched
Well-
in general, because that's the only way to protect kids from sexual assault.
So we
like
have
that's
sexual
literally
education.
factual. Like, hey, if someone touches you here, like you need to notify a trusted adult or like actual authorities.
Okay.
Because
So
otherwise
you
you're just creating a pass for people to essentially be
We-
sexually assaulted, right? Not right. I'm
We-
sorry. I said that like it was a question. That's a fact.
We got the base level sexual education, at age 10 to 11.
Yes.
Definitely younger
But
than that.
But it was strictly, these are your body parts. This is what they do. This is how they function. This is how you develop going into your teenage years. I think that is sound.
I
And
think
then they
that's too
also
old.
offered all. Depends. Like if you're talking about the education of, this is what it's like to be abused and you need to get help, I'm fine with that type of education.
Oh, yeah.
Like the counselor support level, I'm totally down with that education.
Well, that's the thing, because like weirdly, Biden brought it up in this debate where it's like the most of the time, the people who are abusing you are going to be immediate family members and friends, or like social leaders, like pastors and stuff like that. Like these are the people who are going to be assaulting you, and you need to be ready to respond to that. It's depressing as shit, and you shouldn't think about it super hard because it'll be upsetting the more you think about it. But like, Kevin was like ages 7 to 9. Yeah, like that's about the age. Like little fucking kids need to be told about this, and they shouldn't, but they do need to be.
And Kevin brings up a good point too. Easy access to the internet, we didn't have at that age.
I honestly think that's victim blaming.
Well, no, I'm saying the ease of access. Where do you want the children to learn it? Do you want them to learn it through finding it online, or would you rather have an educator actually teach them? Because either way, they're going to find out. They're going to find out younger than we did, because how did we find out? Dirty mags, walking in by accident, or seeing something.
What?
I'm sorry, but like beyond because people weirdly whitewash the past, like the immediate past, like it was some cool thing where like everybody was super moral, but that's just not the case. Like it's not as though in recent years, since the 90s or before or in that region, that people started just randomly sexually assaulting kids. They always did, but now we know how to fight against it. Like if you think that you're like, I'm not roasting anybody, but if you think that that's naive. Like, if you think that this is a recent anomaly.
I don't think we're saying sexual assault didn't exist before then.
Well, I'm saying that's the purpose of that sexual education, is to protect you against that. I'm sorry, do you mind if I say one more thing?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Is that the kids kids nowadays with such easy access to the internet by like age 7 or 9? No, they always were. It's that now they have protection against it. Maybe they can access pornographic material super early. But I don't think it's better necessarily, but it's not as bad as getting assaulted, which is the norm. Like family members, immediate social figures, like that was the thing. Like marital rape wasn't even illegal until the 90s. Like the 90s, like when around the time I was born, you could rape your spouse. Like you could have sex with someone who didn't want to, and it wasn't like prosecutable. You know what I mean? Like it's not as though sexual deviancy and like wrong things sexually happened recently with the advent of the internet. I'm not like roasting Kevin. I'm just saying that like we have that perspective because everybody in this call grew up with the internet slowly entering their life. Does that make sense?
What I think he's trying to point out is the ease of access that children have, and that's what I was also trying to get at too.
Kevin's
the
a
ease
lady.
Of access compared to, sorry, Kevin. I didn't know that. His name's Kevin.
No, fair enough.
Kevin is Nia. Kevin is Nia. Kevin's the nickname.
Okay, Nia. What Nia's trying to get at is the ease of access that a child can get.
Granny Sparks
finding porn.
That's kind of cute. Granny
Period.
Sparks? What is that from? I'm sorry. Continue.
That was her handle.
Oh.
And what I think they're trying to say is the age that you need to teach your children about these things is becoming lower and lower the more ease of access they have to finding this out on their own, either purposefully or accidentally, is increasing.
He's
that's what I
tiptoeing
was
all
saying.
around it, good sir.
That's what I'm saying, is that is victim blaming. And I'm not saying that in like a way that's accusing you or Kevin of anything.
I'm just saying what you're meaning by victim blaming.
I'm saying it's victim blaming because it's assuming like the onus is on the kid.
No,
does that make sense?
I think you're missing the point of
Oh.
what we're trying to say.
No, I'm not saying
But
you
we're
think that. I'm saying that's like the back end of that like value system. Does that make sense?
Yes, the value system
Like that's
would
the
say
under
it is
part of
the
it.
child's fault for finding the porn. It's the parent's fault for allowing the child to be able to
Bingo!
Yeah, and that's what I was saying. The sexual education part of that is what's so important. is that you need to prepare these kids for this, and that's why I was like taken aback at the age of 13. Is like that's way too old.
I agree. It is too old. It needs to be
Like
younger because
young
kids
as
find
fuck,
out
honestly,
faster.
because there's some fucked up people out here. And if Kevin, if y'all also would like to say that there are fucked up people out here who have better access to kids, I'm cool with that. But like the idea is like kids don't need to be on the internet. No, these kid loving adults need to pluck their eyes out in a biblical sense.
Bingo. My thing was, like I said, my entire thing is the statement of it started with, the parental front. But obviously, if we're talking about the parental front, could also be, the aggressor in the situation, which is where it leaves that gray area. And that's where we have to find the alternative. I do think in that event, there should be school counselors who teach, warning signs about certain activities to kids at young ages. I agree with that.
Yeah, that's my thing, is that like if there's people that are adults who have kids that are actively aggressing against sexual education, like not only is that bad, in my opinion, that's a fucking red flag. Like, don't teach my kids about this. Like, no, your kids have to be taught about this.
Yes, and I think that's what I think. There's a lot of people that think there's a line between what's being taught and what should be taught.
Yeah.
And I think that line should be clearly defined.
Yeah, I'm fully aware what I'm saying is like depressing as fuck, but I'm just like, that's the thing, is that like sexual education, like realistically does a lot to mitigate that. You know what I mean? Because so much of it happens within the home or within like the
it does a lot to
micro
mitigate
community.
Whenever people are in public facing schools and institutions. There's a whole other aspect that does need to be broached and brought into consideration, which is homeschooling, because a lot of people that are abusive towards their children actually take them out of the school system in order to facilitate that abuse, which bridges onto not just sexual abuse but also physical abuse as well.
I gotta pee real quick, but I'm kind of in the middle on that one. So y'all continue and I'll jump in right when I get back.
But what I was going to say is I'm perfectly fine with homeschooling. However, I do think it should be more so regulated than it currently is, because at the moment, like over half the states basically have it where you announce that you're homeschooling your kid and you basically just do that. Like you don't even have to follow a curriculum in any way. You don't like it's a situation where there is very minimal oversight in
You are
over half of
required
the
to
country.
provide scores for certain tests every single year, as well as
Correct, but those
photo
tests are not
documentation.
monitored and you can effectively cheat on them.
You can, but you do have to have photo documentation of these things being done. So, I mean, if you are homeschooling your kid and taking all of their curriculum for them during this whole time period, I feel like the growth, because they do have people who monitor the growth of the child through the homeschool daycare system.
In
I think it would
26
be
out of 50
evaluated.
states, that is not the case.
26 out of 50 states do not look at the papers being sent that they passed.
Correct. You have to announce that you're homeschooling your kid. That's it, and that basically you find methods by which to measure their quote unquote growth, and then you just submit those measurements accordingly. And then I believe it's like 12 or 13 other states require a yearly check-in. And then 11 states are more strict with it, that actually like have standardized grading that you have to do that is tied to the schooling that is in that respect. Now, my information is slightly older. It is like 2 to 3 years out of date from whenever I last researched that, but that is what it was at the time.
I'm back. What's up? You talking about homeschooling?
Yeah, how like half of the states don't require you to do much as far as providing proof of the homeschooling itself. About 25% of them have a basic like testing thing that you have to do once per year to confirm that there is progression, and then there are ones that are more hands-on that require like actually a certain set curriculum be followed.
I don't know. There's certain material conditions to go along with like. Oop.
Like I said, only in 24 out of 50 states. The material conditions are very lax in over half of the country.
All right, I was reading what Kevin was writing.
There is a
Yeah, because you're seeing wild shit on the internet. Fair enough. Especially on YouTube Kids. I've seen videos about that sort of thing. As far as homeschooling goes, like I'm all about freedom, so like you do your own thing. It's just there's certain material conditions to homeschooling where it's like I feel like a lot of people nowadays aren't necessarily homeschooling because they feel like they could teach the subjects better. They're homeschooling because they think school is woke. I don't see a lot of meaningful things where they're like, people don't really understand the harms that World War II had upon society as a whole. You know what I mean? They're doing it because they're like, no, you read in your book there was slavery, but you know what? There was good masters with slaves and they took care of their people. And it's like that's not real. That's not true. Like what are we doing?
Who the fuck says that?
You know what I mean? Like just off the cuff, Chase. You know what I mean?
Okay. I was like, that is like, the funniest extreme.
Yeah,
I think
like
literally
I'm more talking about
90
like there's like
yeah.
they want to heavily lean like their representation of history to like one political party or the other. I say one or the other. It's mostly Republicans if I'm being real, but like I'm not saying that those people don't exist that are on the left too.
I'm going to say, as a parent, since I have thought about this myself, that what you just said on reasons why some people will go into homeschooling instead of going to public because they think public school is woke. I'm not saying that that doesn't happen, but as someone that has thought about it, the main reason why I would want to homeschool is because I don't feel that school is safe.
I can see that. And once again, I don't want to be like a fence rider, like, you know, devil's advocate situation. But like, I am genuinely conflicted because I get it, what you're saying. I get what Kevin's saying. The only issue, okay, wait, hold on. I had to read what that was what TJ said. Y'all are both purple. It's making it difficult. Yeah, if the parent is abusive, that's the issue, is that they really don't have anywhere to go to. If they're, you know what I mean? It's like, oh, we're going to put this person in homeschooling. We're going to teach them history, a certain framing. And, you know, it's like, and we're also abusive.
Look up discourse homeschooling.
Just in general, just those two words.
Discourse homeschooling is a legally approved in like a couple dozen states homeschooling option that thousands of families have purchased into, right? To raise your child to be a proper good Nazi. Like literally writing assignments that are tied to like quoting Mein Kampf and things like that.
Re-say what you said, TJ? I see.
There is a homeschooling curriculum called Discourse Homeschooling.
Okay, I'm with you now. That's the thing, is that like you can't just make it illegal. You know what I mean?
No. I'm not saying to make homeschooling illegal. I'm not saying like don't allow it. What I'm saying is there has to be limitations and oversight.
Fair.
Like homeschooling, cool, great. If you decide to do homeschooling, what we should be doing is we should be having check-ins with the children that are being homeschooled like once every 2 to 3 months. Because it is a situation where we should care about the children of our nation and actually make certain that they're safe. Because just because you're in your parents' care does not mean that you're safe.
I think there's a pretty easy solution to this, in my opinion, for homeschooling. I think you should be able to sign on to the curriculum that you like, because most of you get to kind of pick the curriculum that you want, but it has to have so many things in it that are just basic. But I think you should literally have to do video calls where the curriculum that you have chosen gets sent to the state, education system, and then they have a one-on-one virtual call where they ask you, 15 to 20 questions and just small conversations about the things you taught in the last 3 to 4 months, and the child has to be able to at least speak to some of that to show that it was spoken to or taught. And then in the event that they have multiple of those, they need to, reassess if that is a thing that they want to do, or if it's a thing they're succeeding at.
Or have a building like the DMV just for homeschooled children that they have to come in, basically doing a semester or for like a few days at the end of a semester to test to see if they can even
Well,
pass the curriculum that was
yeah.
given to them.
I'm all for the testing. I think that turning in the testing like in person, like where you go and take the test, makes complete sense. Oh, just go to the public school. All the homeschool kids meet. They take a few tests at the end of each little semester, and as long as things are above a certain grade average, they can continue to be homeschooled, or they get put on a probational homeschool period. With like, hey, listen, if they come back again and they flunk these materials, we're gonna have to potentially assess if you are eligible to be able to be a teacher from home.
I think that would be a decent
I like it.
thing.
Yeah,
I need you
I
to
think
run
that's a really try.
today.
But also, Kyle, I know you mentioned you said you homeschool because of safety issues. I know that school safety is the number 3 reason for homeschooling now, and it has escalated since number 7 in the last 10 years or so.
I don't know these stats. What's number 1 and number 2? Actually, I've never heard this before.
Religious affiliation was number 1.
Okay, I guess that makes sense. What's number 2?
I don't, but I saw where it said it went from 6th to 3rd.
Yeah, I've never heard that before. Makes sense, I guess. Yeah. I mean, personally, I guess. Safety reasons, you never know. I mean, all it takes is one.
Flexibility for jobs.
Real.
Okay.
Real as fuck.
Having one parent home that
real AF
is able to do some of the curriculum because they work night shift, and then the other parent home during like evenings, and then doing another portion of the curriculum accordingly.
Safety
I
is
did get
really
it, yeah.
safety is tied in really closely with 3rd and 4th place with learning disabilities, and safety being pretty much exactly the same.
Real, honestly, facts.
The only reason why
print your
I
text message.
wouldn't do homeschooling, the only reason why I wouldn't, is because going to school and interacting with children your own
Bingo.
age is a key component to their growth.
That's my
And
big thing.
it is,
Real, Kevin.
it's scary. It scares me. It scares me to think that in just 2 months, she'll be in school.
Hmm.
And I won't be there.
Yeah, I mean, like, how do I go about this?
It's a
factor.
It is a grisly, horrible.
Okay, he's got a kid
concept
going
to
into
think.
school.
Hold
We
on, let me finish what I was going to say.
Okay.
It is a grisly, horrible concept to think of this in terms of statistics. But as
we don't have to
far
go there.
as statistically, the odds of anything happening to your child at school are very low, but they are higher than like in European schools because we have a much more violent nature about us here in America. What I'm trying to say, Kyle, is the odds of something bad happening to your child are very low. I understand your concern. It's a reasonable concern. At the same time, there are a
get it
lot of
'cause of, like,
individuals that are going to protect children at those schools. So
This
it's
is from like a homeschooling perspective, that issue is just removed entirely. It's just a matter of whether their education would be like
stunted,
comparable, and whether or
Mhm.
not their social capacity would be comparable. You know,
What was you about to say, Josh?
which
You were
part?
about to respond to what I had just said.
Was I?
Yeah.
Whatever it was.
well, no,
is
he was interrupting what I was
maybe
saying
gone.
because I was being a bit intense, I believe.
Well, yeah, I thought that was about to go a lot like more intense direction. I was like, we're having fun. Like we don't have to get dark in here. Yeah, I mean, you know,
And
especially
yes,
in this
I-
area, you're in a much better spot than normal.
And I understand that, TJ. Of course, I know the statistics for Slam for something to happen around here or for my child. but I would echo any parent that I've heard words that they have said. I never would have thought it would have been mine.
Fair enough. Real.
You're a dad, man. These are dad things.
Yeah.
Kevin is typing. I know Kevin's typing.
Yep, Kevin is typing.
Big triple dot, big ellipsis energy.
And yeah, I know where Kevin's coming from. The whole aspect of the economy nowadays with children. I saw a quote earlier, like a few days ago. Plants are the new pets. Pets are the new children. Children, honestly, don't have them unless you're rich because you can't really afford to take care of another life that is that dependent on you. Like, literally looked at that and I was like, damn, that's pretty fucking accurate nowadays. Shit.
Well, honestly, there's a certain degree of that that's like crazy overblown. Because people are like, nobody's having kids anymore. There's a decent amount of that is just teen pregnancy going down.
They break your knee, Kevin. Just ask Kyle.
Yeah, she walloped me good. I'm walking with a cane.
So it's like, it's not that people necessarily aren't having kids anymore. Because like you're like, oh, people aren't having kids anymore, and you think of somebody who's married, has a decent job, like all this stuff. It's like that's not the case. Like people who aren't ready for kids are not having kids as often anymore.
No.
And it's like, at this point, and I'm not saying that like economic factors aren't contributing to the lack of interest in having kids, but I'm just saying it's like, people are treating it like it's the end of the world. And it's like, that's just not the case.
Oh, it absolutely is because of economic struggles. Having children
Oh,
is fucking
yeah.
expensive.
No,
It's
I just
absolutely
meant
fucking expensive.
there's a
You know how
large
much money I got? None. You know how much my MRI was? $600.
Well, that just
Why?
meant that a lot of
Because she
the
jumped over my right leg and landed on my kneecap.
gotta get her back.
You know what did she do while I was laying there crying and screaming in pain? Laughed
Oh,
and put an onion on me.
that's kind of funny. I just meant
Yes,
that like a
children
lot
die.
of the birth rate stuff is built on the fact that like a lot of teens are not having children as much as they were.
Yeah, and people are making more decisions based on their personal like intentions than just like, oh shit happened.
Mm.
Fuck.
Yeah, I'm saying there's a lot that's based on like teenage pregnancies being down, but I'm pretty left wing. I'm definitely not saying that like economic factors are not relevant as far as people not having kids. I hate kids, but even if the person I was with loved kids, like they are, I would still not have a kid for financial reasons.
Right now, I find it interesting. Who here? I'm certain that most of you have.
I've
Who
had a
here
lot
has
of
heard about
Pop-Tarts.
the breeding visas for Japan?
Isn't that fake?
That is definitely fake.
I mean, even assuming it is fake, right? Like assuming that's never going to happen. The fact that enough people considered it as possibly like, is this fake? Like it shows the
'cause
current
everyone's
situation with
a
our
degenerate, horny
population
bastard.
being
Japan is too xenophobic to be asking for help from
Oh,
non-Japanese
definitely.
people to come and help breed.
They
Like,
literally
that would
have
never fucking
Japanese
happen.
only nightclubs and shit. Like they will flat out not let foreigners go into certain areas and all that shit. Like
They got Japanese only gas stations. You talk about nightclubs. You don't get out fucking petrol. Get the fuck out.
There's a lot to say about Japan and its weird tendencies, like the fact that all of their y'all know about the camera sound effect?
No.
The like shutter sound?
Yes, baby.
Oh yeah.
Where it's like you can't change the setting because so many people take creepy pictures of women in Japan that they made it mandatory that you have to have the sound on.
Mhm.
Women only train cars. Like there's a lot of tribulations to
It's
overcome
almost
in
like they're
Japan.
it's almost like they're sexually oppressed.
Well, it's more that they have like a really insular society, so they deal with stuff like that where like they don't have conflicting ideas or progressive ideas because all they have to do is to appeal to tradition, you know.
Well, I'm pretty sure that was true maybe 20 years ago, but it's changing.
One can only, which you know, you say it's changing. What's funny is that like Japan, for the most part, has been pretty open to like gay and trans people. But as long as that's not like the life you settle down with, it's almost like Greek in that in like that capacity where it's like, oh yeah, you know, you have like a phase, but then you settle down with your woman and you fucking assault her maritally. It's like, damn. Like is like they have this weird like insular culture to like where it's like they've cut themselves off so much they don't allow immigration, like they don't have a lot of media from outside of the country where it's like it's kind of corrosive internally. Like,
Well, it's not
and
that they
America
won't
kind of
allow
fights for the
immigration,
same
it's
vibe
just-
too, where it's like, yeah, you know, we just eternally have this enemy called the border, and it's like, yeah, we just fight against this the whole time because this is what we view as bad.
I don't think it's that Japanese, though, or that Japan doesn't allow immigration. It's just that they're extremely strict on it.
Well, they're xenophobic.
Yeah.
They'll let you come to Japan. You can
For a
live
visit.
in Japan. Yo, you can live there if you're well off. If you already have money, come right in. If you're a tourist, you can come, but you will leave. You do not
America's
get to
no
stay.
different. We're big on that as far as like Chinese immigrants go. Whereas like a lot of the Chinese immigrants we get are like super wealthy Chinese immigrants. It's like if there's like a poor person that's Chinese that tries to come over, you're not getting in.
Like, if you went to Japan, you could speak the language, you get a job, you live there for 10, 15 years, get married to someone that lives there, you know, a Japanese person, you still won't be seen
Hmm.
as a nationalist or a native or anything. Like, you will still just be an outsider. They will be nice to you with a smile. They are polite. They don't want you there.
What you got?
No, I think a lot of this is true, but I think a lot of this is true in their urban areas because I know a lot of people who have been to Japan, lived in Japan, stayed in Japan, teach in Japan, things of that nature. And the rural area, from what I understand, is actually really welcoming and really
That's
supportive.
an
And the big thing
interesting
is,
concept.
and their big ordeal is we just want you to respect privacy and tradition and manners. And as long as you do those things, they'll welcome you. Because from what I understand is like if you do like the recycling, if you're participating in the community and the things that they like to participate in, they're fine with you. But apparently, it's the high strung, like big, like I said, big. I think money, like you said, is a big influencer. The big Tokyo mentality of success, and I guess I mean you can probably put like power driven in that nature. I think that's what's like we built this, we did this, we deserve this. You're not going to come in here and screw this up. I think it is literally centered around big centrist cities like that nature. But from what I understand, the rural communities, which still do tie into a lot of that old nature, like I said, good manners, good ethics, that's not true in those areas. But they're also, like I said, a little more secluded. Which is why when I see things, like my favorite thing I see in Japanese society that I like is the kids schooling for mannerisms and how they're supposed to act on trains and how they're supposed to cross the road. Now it's taught at like the age of 3. I think that's incredible.
Oh, they teach at an extremely young age.
Yeah, I think that
Extremely young.
stuff. I think that stuff is incredible because that's what this is. It builds into their society long term, and they're able to keep a lot of those things in their daily lives, which makes things just go smoother. That's why it's such a low violence area in the rural areas. Like I said, I'm not positive about Tokyo. That's why I think a lot of this stuff is like big cities.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, that's the thing, is that it's like acceptable violence. So like sexual violence is a lot less stigmatized as opposed to like physical violence.
A lot of the sexual
Like, yeah,
violence
your
is
kids might not
still
get yeeted, but they're
stigmatized.
definitely like, they have women only train cars for a reason. Like, they have the shutter sound effect for a reason.
But yeah,
You
I
know
think
what I mean?
that's the thing is I think that is legitimately like the big city mentality. That whole I've been pushed or whatever and beat to this thing where I've made myself and I deserve this. I think it's that type of mentality, and I think the women who are trying to get into that space, I think that's where that type of behavior comes in.
Reese, what do you mean?
Like I think legitimately that type of behavior is targeted. I would say almost significantly the majority in those big city mentalities, because the type of people that work in those big city environments or that stay in those areas, I think that's kind of where it correlates. That's why, like I said, they got women only trains. I think that like Japanese
Yeah, but you're
men,
saying those inner city people who like have this nationalist tendency are at fault for not respecting these women.
I'm saying that I think the way that they and like I said, I think because it's all in a Japanese society thing, right? I think the way that, and I can't speak to this for certain. It's just kind of a feel I've got the way base things are going, because a lot of stuff occurs, like I said, in big cities. I think that a lot of that old head mentality with people who are advancing into like a more modern, make it for yourself type of society, I think they're taking that out, like I said, on women in that society too, who are also trying to achieve that in Tokyo.
All right, so essentially they have this weird like nationalist ideology presented upon them by like the affluence of the area that they've grown up in. So just seeing anybody who's not immediately conforming to that makes them like lash out at them in ways that are horrible.
Yeah, I think they've blended like old, you can even say like patriarchal stuff and like, or
Sure.
or
No, absolutely.
yeah, or just traditional things, to where they're like, now I am in this epicenter of the society. I am above these certain aspects, and this is how I show that in this degrading way, and
Yeah, I believe in
particularly towards
Japan.
women.
Japan has traditional values, and those values like subvert women.
I think that's the case primarily in, like I said, big cities. I think it's less so in the rural areas. I think they hold to it more traditionally and more soundly and more respectably. Oh, to be a woman.
Couldn't be me.
It's particularly bad in Japan. Kevin says most of the city folk is
That's
jumping
Psyduck?
at the
Wait,
end
is
of
that
the time.
Psyduck? That's fucking Psyduck.
It is Psyduck.
Oh, look at him.
You go to work.
Kevin doesn't
You
know.
don't leave until your boss leaves. Then your boss tells you you're going drinking. You have to go drinking, or you'll be seen as an outsider, which is basically career ending for you. You get home, you get to sleep for maybe 6 or 7 hours, and you have to go back to the office, or you're too far away, so you have to get a hotel room.
Nah, yeah. I was about to say there's a reason I got excited. Like, I saw his hands on his head, and then I saw the little like tuft of hair. I was like, wait. Yeah, those are called black companies. I don't want to talk too much about those if I'm being real. I watched the first episode of Zom 100, and it got way too close to
But
home.
we can talk about
I'm
black
not even
jobs.
gonna pretend.
A good show though. You should watch it.
It is a good show.
No, like it was.
What is a good show?
Zom 100.
Gents.
Black Mirror is a great show.
What is
I have top off here.
Fair enough.
These conversations could go literally till 4 a.m, and I'm
Oh,
going to have to
yeah,
get my
like
cut off here.
this is like my birthday. Like this couldn't have gone any better.
Good night, Chase.
She said, I'm
Good
a
night.
tall, blue-eyed white woman. The men will fear me. All right. Good night, boys.
Good night.
Good night.
Buy all the fucking eggs. Might as well buy all the cheese too, you know?
Bye, Kevin. Unless you were
Later,
saying bye to Chase, in which case it's up to you. Classic Japan. Big Japan energy. You're welcome to hang. Which is still kind of like early.
Yeah, it's only what, like 11 to 12:30. Yeah.
I wish it was 11.
Dylan, you got to work tomorrow?
No, today's Thursday.
Are you off on Fridays?
Yeah.
Yes.
Really?
I'm off every Friday and Sunday.
Really? I did not know that.
I'm off every Friday and Saturday.
Procrastinating must be nice.
I'm a big Sunday
Procrastinating is
Monday boy.
nice.
Nice because I can make plans like 8 months in advance because my schedule never changes basically.
Real.
I work every Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Do you
I
work
mean,
like
yeah.
12s or something? 12s or 13s?
If you got Sunday through Wednesday off, that's pretty nice.
Shoot.
3
Fair enough,
12s.
dude.
I heard that it's half a shift on weed. I'm like, wait a minute.
Shout outs, honestly, dude.
Smoke weed every day.
I'm about to start doing 9/12s.
Oh, did you get the thingamajig?
I passed all my tests. So,
Now you just need a good knee and you can work again.
exactly. Yeah, 9.
They got a patch for that? Sorry. I was like, they got a patch for that? You gotta like download
I
a new knee?
wish. I wish they did.
What'd the MRI say?
I don't know. They haven't called me back. I've called them the last few days and they're like, has it come in yet? Has it come in yet? All right, we'll have the nurse call you. Hasn't called me. I'm like, just fucking tell me what the fucking paper says.
How long ago was
Yeah.
it? Did you have
Need
it?
to see.
It was 3 days ago.
That, like, it. Don't they still have to? Like, they're not going to have it immediately.
It's already been sent off to the radiologist. They have the paperwork. It's there at office. I just refuse to go and get an appointment for $65 for them to tell me what the fucking paper says.
No, I don't think he went to an AMC.
No, be working at a nuclear plant.
No, where you got your MRI done.
Oh no, not at NAMC. I went to Show's Primary. God, if he could have pulled up that shit, I would have been so happy. I was like, please do.
I'm sure they'll contact you next week.
I know.
They'll be
it's
like,
just been
your knee's
been a
getting way
month."
better.
It is absolutely not.
Your kneecap is in 8 pieces. We're sorry. There's nothing we can do.
I
pieces
think
in
I
one
think
spot.
I'm pretty sure my kneecap is in the wrong place, which is why it's giving me so much problems.
Sounds like an easy fix then, right? They just, snap it back into place and then you're
Let
good
me
to
tell
go.
you something about Easy Fix, Dylan.
Uh-oh.
I felt that fucking snap back into place. Fuck you. That shit
Intense.
hurts like a motherfucker.
Yeah. Like Evan said, it's time to chrome up, Choom.
Like, I'd love to fucking chrome up tune, but we're not there yet.
Chrome up, is that like getting a toaster?
I will beat you with my cane.
You're gonna beat him with his cane.
It is metal. This shit would hurt.
Ah. So that's what chrome up means, is getting a cane. Okay.
If it was like full metal, like just
Full metal.
that full metal my kneecap. I slap it and a spear
my
comes
God.
out of it.
Oh, hell
Full metal. Upgrade.
You never go full metal.
No, you don't. You look like a piece of fuckable meat. I was not expecting Adam Smasher to say that.
I really need to play the DLC.
That wasn't in the DLC.
I know that was in the very first part, but you're talking about it, and I'm like, damn, have not played the DLC yet.
You own it?
No, I'm not yet.
Okay.
It's probably on sale. Summer sale's going on right now.
See, I bought it on GOG to support GDPR.
Well, I'm sure GOG also has a sale going on right now. They tend to overlap. Yep, it's on sale.
Although that's probably going to require me to replay through the whole game, because I'm sure my save file is way out of date.
You don't know that.
I mean, with as many updates as I've put into the game, I'd be surprised if my save file still works.
It's $25 right now. Oh, on GOG. Oh my god.
So good. You ought to excuse this thing. Oh, Dylan, did you shoot Kyle your proposition about stuff yet?
No, I have not yet.
Okay.
3D printing stuff.
I know it's still a ways out before you get everything up and running, but you're... It's useful to know Dylan's interest and intent.
That sucks. What are you wanting to do, Dylan?
Well, I'm because I know you still have to get some stuff.
Dude, Breath of the Wild. I gotta finish fucking Tears of the Kingdom.
What were you saying, Dylan?
But I know you still need to get some stuff, and you gotta do test prints and all that. But I was essentially willing to prepay the army for the army. That way, you're not actually out of any money since money's tight for you right now.
What army are you thinking about doing? The God?
Probably for the first one.
Nice. What armors you all building?
For Warhammer 40,000.
Yeah, what armors you all building?
Well, Kyle's got a 3D printer, so we're gonna be printing stuff. I'm gonna get the Imperial Guard. They're like base teams.
I've purchased and am putting together the Kroot.
The Kroot?
Yep, they are a you know the Tau.
I don't think he knows anything about 40k.
Okay,
I
so
do.
the
I
Tau
watched a
are
video one time. They shoot bullets.
Every goddamn piece of lore in 40k. I know every single faction to the smallest detail. You say crew, I say what? Genetic offspring. I don't know what I'm fucking talking about.
Their favorite prey is orcs. That's why they're gonna be green. But here, I'll take a picture of one of my favorite Kroot that I think you'll enjoy the picture of as well, because he has a puppy.
What are you interested in, Neo? Oh! That's still on my house. Let me see if I can't find one.
You could actually get like a pretty decent Snorlax size with your printer.
Oh yeah.
I would imagine.
I could. It depends on how big how big the STL file is.
Boom, took his ass to the solo.
Daddy gotta go looking.
Drafting class in high school. Holy shit. Didn't know we were in the presence of a fucking scientist. Drafting class in high school? Like you didn't go anywhere else? You just were in high school and you did that?
There you go, Josh. That's a Kroot.
know how to. I don't know if I know how to count fractions anymore, unless it's like 4 of 8 plus 4 of 8.
I don't know if you want this. I don't blame you if you don't.
Just gonna assume you're a scientist. That's cool. I like that.
It's unique. Kevin with that wit. What in tarnation?
I can find others. It doesn't have to be that. That was the first one I found. Laying on his back. Yeah.
Big sleepy boy.
Well, Josh, if you ever want,
Side duck.
there you go.
It's important to point out that you would technically have to paint it because this thing's gonna come out like gray.
Yeah, you'd have to paint them. They do not have
Well,
pre-painted.
that fucking Psyduck was cute as shit, so I'd paint his ass.
Let Daddy find a lane.
I'll make my
down.
services available if people want to pay me to paint things. I'm not terrible at painting. I'm only going to get better with time. And if it's a bigger model, it's going to be easy to paint compared to my fucking tiny ass little pain in the ass bastards. What the hell, Kim? What you saying over there? What in tarnation?
Paint little.
Josh, did you see the little miniature I posted?
I didn't. I think it went.
Yeah, scroll up past the.
Well, I'm in.
past-
I'm in like a fighting game. It's gonna be
Oh, okay,
complicated.
gotcha.
He's fighting for his life.
It's an
I mean, if I
adder,
repost
so
it, would
I
you
am
be able to
fighting
see
for
it,
my
maybe?
life.
I'll repost it. There you go. He's got a little puppy at his feet looking out at where he's pointing his sword. Little puppy wants to go murder something, you know?
Big murder puppy.
That model's gonna be a
No,
pain.
yeah, I
tried
saw
to model
that.
it where that model had like 2/3 of its base exposed because like fuck trying to get on either side of that thing with its fucking gun and its sword out like that.
I don't know if you'd want this.
Woo! Oh, that's cute. A little Snorlax Island.
He's laying down, but I don't know if he just wanted a Snorlax.
Do you want an art piece or a Snorlax? Is I guess like you could have a centerpiece with a Snorlax on it, or you could just have a Snorlax.
You put the whole shebang? Yes, I would put the whole thing.
Big shebang energy.
I could increase the size if you would like. Let's say the size of a what size are you thinking? I'd want it small. How small? Do you want Warhammer small? Or do you want it to be
If you're gonna use an image for reference, please, for the love of God, use something that we can use as a size reference.
Wham!
A banana.
Banana.
Banana's always a good representation.
Lima bean.
Banana is one of the standards. And then someone just decides to fuck with us and uses like plantains. Like, what the fuck? End up giving them something that's like the size of a cat.
I got a Rick's Barbecue large cup. How about that?
So like
the
So like a 32 ounce cup or what how large?
The length of it? Or the reference? The
Yes.
length for it or like yes. Let me.
So like,
Woo! Go again.
are we still good for tomorrow, TJ?
For some type of 40k game, sure, yeah.
Let me put this in Chitterbox so I can see how big it is before I try to increase size. Because it may be big enough as is.
Damn.
Does it not give you the dimensions for it?
No, I put it into Chitterbox.
Arrow
and
was lost.
I look at it from there.
Back to the ninth floor.
Oh.
Ugh.
Okay.
This game is such a scrap nowadays.
I'll give you numbers. That's fine.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna call it a night.
Alright, have a good
I've been
night.
up for like 15 hours, which is like not like revolutionary, but it's enough.
Rest well, King.
I appreciate y'all hanging out for the stream, honestly. We had a big old presidential debate review stream. I didn't expect
I was here
anybody to
late,
be
sorry.
here, and then like 7 people showed up. Shout out to Kevin, shout out to Kyle, shout out to Dylan and TJ.
I
Welcome
came in
to
at
the
the tail end
politics.
after it ended, though, unfortunately.
Well, like, we had fun anyway. Like me and
Yeah,
Chase
yeah.
were there for like the first half, and then Dylan showed up like honestly in like the first quarter of like just the debate. It's fun. You have a good night.
Good
You
night.
too, man.
Yeah, I stabbed him. I think, oh, that's a pleasure. Cock like a vulgar harlot! Oh my god, she's gonna push her cock like a vulgar harlot.
Well, fuck me. Everything's dead. I hate everything. Fuck me. I'm gonna die. Nope. Bye.
The rodeo!
Damn, he's fucking
God!
gone.
Hit something!
Boy,
Oh my god, kill him!
Look at this dumbass.
Bro, you got them goddamn green bean balls.
What does that mean,
This lever here.
I've been on the fucking social stream ever since you showed me your dick.
We're on a wavelength tonight.
That's right, son. We're out here kissing our dads in the mouth for fun.
Oh, okay, you lost me. Oh, it's going me too.
This is a lot of fun. I gotta tell you.
Yeah, you having fun? I couldn't hit it. Dude, she
moving,
got
yeah.
the bob and weave.
Oh my.
Oh, it looks like there's a fish coming out of it. 'cause the thing.
Yeah, that's for the weird yordles like Fizz. People that aren't quite
Two
yordles.
cupcakes and a fish. It's like, yeah.
This isn't a yordle.
I said the weird yordles.
I'm not saying I saw our Ezreal run from like here all the way back here while the tanks were dying.
Damn.
Brother,